any musician benefits from a real producer like that.
Right.
Because that's what they do, is they bring that dynamic there.
Well, sometimes you're lucky enough to get one of those guys in the band that pulls that shit off. I think, in Emergent, Gary was really good at coming up with a feel for different parts. If he wrote anything with bass, it's like, yeah, that sounds like a bass player kind of wrote that. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah. So I give him props on that.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I'm getting old. I'm running out of time. We'll see.
Tell
see
me
what
about
happens.
it, man. And it seems like the older I get, the more busy I am, but not doing the stuff I really want to do.
So you're playing with, was it Benjamin Raye?
Yep.
So, Will, in the background, you should update this because we couldn't remember all your credits. Emergent, you used to play for Emergent, and then you also played for...
Asteria back in the day, which became Daybreak Medusa, like a different incarnation.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I really kind of started. There's more bands before that, but to the point where we were playing like regularly with national bands and stuff like that. Kind of making a somewhat of a dent in the scene, but
yeah. And then you ended up doing the Emergent thing, and now you're doing covers, the Benjamin Raye thing.
Yep. Now I'm doing it to make money. That's at some point I think a lot of us go that route.
We had Logan Stalecker on the podcast again last week,
and
he was telling us about Nashville. You could probably make a lot of money in Nashville, dude. You're good enough.
I always feel like I always doubt myself, but
especially because of the cover thing, because that you make just a lot of steady money doing covers, and at your skill level, you could definitely go. And dude, honestly, you'd probably like it more too.
Probably
because you wouldn't have to work as hard for the same dollar, right? The same amount of time and effort you put into a cover gig now, you would get paid way more. Way more.
For sure.
It'd be easier to find work because it's a music town. And it's also very concentrated. So you're not traveling all over the fucking area.
That's true too,
scratching and clawing. You just keep going down,
for sure,
down to Broadway.
And it's better weather.
Yeah. And I think the politics are closer to yours. Maybe not perfect, because I know you're not a full-blown Republican, but...
Yeah, no, that shit kind of drives me crazy too. The weird shit that I see where people just are on a team, it just drives me crazy.
Yeah, like they're defending Trump no matter what he does right now.
Right, and I think that's what was our big complaint about, like, Democrats. Democrats are like, don't you see you guys are going overboard? We want them to have a set of standards that we ourselves won't take.
I mean, we talked about it, though. We tried to warn people, like, listen, when you go this far left, there will be a drastic overcorrection by the right, and it will be more fascist than what we're accusing you of right now. And then the problem is, dude, is when the left gets it, it's going to get even worse because of all the shit Trump's doing.
I think it gets bloodier, yeah.
When the left finally gets control again, dude, they might get rid of free speech because they're going to use it as an argument that it fueled propaganda, and that's why Trump
I feel
won
like
in
they
the first
tried to do
place.
that to begin with, but they tried to be,
But I think they're going to really go.
Yeah.
I think they're going to just be open about it this time. I don't think they're going to try to dance their way around it anymore. They're just going to straight up say free speech is too dangerous.
It's really hard to say because they don't have a face yet. I mean, who is their face on their side?
You mean like the face of the party?
Yeah.
It's AOC. It's AOC
I
for
don't.
sure.
I don't even think that. I don't even think anybody really cares.
I mean, isn't she their like Senate leader, the Senate majority leader or minority leader or whatever? Not Pelosi anymore, is it?
No, but I don't think they would let her anywhere near that.
Yeah, Will, look
but
this
I
up.
Could be wrong.
What is AOC's role within the DNC? In the DNC. The progressive leader, that doesn't really mean anything, though. So she's just like influential on that far left progressive side.
Yeah, she's definitely. To be honest with you, I think she's got the. I don't want to say totally low IQ people on that side. You know what I mean? I just don't see her as a leader at all.
Oh no.
But they just don't really have any faces. So right now, all they can really do is, even him. I think he's boring. Not that they wouldn't throw all their weight behind somebody anyway, because they were going to do that with Kamala or whatever. So, but I just don't. I see them just doing dirty shit up until they finally get somebody that can represent the party.
I could see them, because I just don't think if they do an honest, I don't even think they have to primary. I think if they just do some honest polling, AOC is not capable of winning the White House.
I don't think so.
I don't think Gavin Newsom is capable of winning the White House, but I think he gives them a better chance. But they love to profile. So what they'll do is they'll do the bad version of polling, and they'll be like, what do you want to see in a president? And then they listen to idiots go, well, I want to see a person of color. I want to see a woman. I want to see this. I want to see that. So they'll do it again like they did in the last two elections, but I wouldn't be surprised if there'll be, what I think is there'll be like 3 distinct tickets, right? I think you're going to have AOC, don't know who the running mate is. I think you're going to have Gavin Newsom, don't know who the running mate is. I thought it would be those two together, but I don't think it will be now. It could be. They could consolidate and go Gavin Newsom with AOC as the
Which is weird, because you would think those two would be not unified, and AOC's way more progressive.
They're not unified, but they don't care about that. They just want to win.
Care, I don't think Gavin.
They want to cover demographics. Mm-hmm. They want, if they go Gavin as the head. Oh, it's a white male. Blah 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 blah. We can win that, and then they go, oh, with a female vice, and a woman of color, we can win this, and she's more progressive, so we can win the farther of the left. You know what I mean? That's all they think about and care about.
Well, it's evident with
both sides do this, by the way.
It's evident with the race for mayor in New York that people are looking for populist like ideas anyway, because people are getting fed up. So they're basically voting for somebody, like they voted for Trump, to throw a wrench in the system.
So populist idea is, I always just thought it's just what the simple majority wants.
Kind of. I think there's an element of it where it's people are fed up too. You know what I mean? And so that's the driving factor, because I think generally the majority of people could want something very simple, like just a regular quiet life or whatever. But I think in this case, we're seeing how hard it is to buy homes. Like the average age of home buyers now has shot up quite a bit. It's people are seeing this, and then it's not getting any easier in the pocketbooks, and I think you're going to have more and more angry voters. Like populace is going to be more appealing, I think.
Yeah. The homeowner thing's interesting, and I think I've told you this before. Like, I don't think there's a lack of homes. I think there's an entitlement problem. So I think first-time home buyers want to immediately go out and buy a home comparable to what their parents are retiring in or paid off. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's not.
Well, I'm sure that's a consumer part of our
and they want to do it in Edina or in Eden Prairie or in St. Louis Park where there's a high demand. You know what I mean? So it's like when you go to buy your first home, you have to sacrifice on one of the things, right? Either the location of it, meaning you got to get farther out from your target area, or you have to maybe go into a not so great neighborhood because the home values are lower, right? Or you got to go smaller. I want 4 bedrooms, but we can't afford anything in those other 2 things. So now we got to go with a 2-bedroom. Like, you should go with a starter home, especially as a first-time homeowner. Man, it can be expensive maintaining a home. And so people go, yeah, that's why we want to get something newer and something nicer. It's like that newer and nicer does not mean nothing's going to go wrong. I would actually argue in some ways.
I mean, but if you think about it, I think it's a multifaceted issue. I mean, if you look at just the, lack of border policy.
That is a factor, yes.
That is a factor, too, because, I mean, if let's say, within a short amount of time, you had 4 million people across the border come in.
Right, yeah.
Divide that 4 million people by, even if we just did it evenly, 50 states.
Yeah, we've done this. I think we did this math. It's
how many houses would that take up? You know what I mean?
Let's do that math real quick. Just let's say 4 million people divided by 50 states. So let's just pretend it's even, which it shouldn't be. What does that come up? 80,000 people.
And then how many of those people would need a house? You know what I mean?
All of them.
You know,
they all need to live somewhere.
But some of them could live together. It's like 4 to a house or something. It's
only if they know each other and they feel safe with each other, right? You can't force these people to do that.
Right.
So
no, I'm just saying they come as a family.
You have to have, but you have to assume it's 80,000 individual units, right? Because you could average that out to say 80,000 2-bedrooms, even though a lot of them are going to be single people. So that's a 1-bedroom, and then this other person's going to need a whole ass house because they got 6 kids. But you could average it out to a 2-bedroom.
Yeah,
but that's still, you're going to need, let's say, 40,000 2-bedrooms.
That's a lot of That's a lot. That's
dude.
A lot of houses.
That's 10% of the population
trailers,
of Minnesota.
Apartments off the market right there, and that is going to affect supply. And if you affect supply, you affect prices.
Yeah, because if you want, because I can rent this out now, which is normally single-family units are very difficult to maintain profitability on. But if the demand is through the roof, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have less incentive to sell that house unless you jack up the price. Like, give me a fuck you price, and then, fuck you, dude, I'll give you that. Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm.
You want to give me a $500,000 for my house? Fine.
And it doesn't help that the dollar is worth less either.
That's the other thing.
So,
that's the other part of it, is that it's just simple inflation.
On the backside of it, Yep.
It's not,
sure.
And then taxes and costs of materials and labors have skyrocketed. I've talked about this on the podcast almost ad nauseum, so I apologize if you guys have heard this before, but just to break ground.
We're broken records anyway. I'm pretty sure I am.
Just to break ground in the city of Minneapolis, it's $50,000 in permits. Just to build in the city. You haven't even done anything. It's $50,000 just in permits. And that's an insane thing.
It's not sustainable.
If you're talking about trying to build a $100,000 house, but it's still going to cost $150,000, that doesn't make it worth it. You see what I'm saying? So then, guys, well, why would I do that? Why would I spend?
There's an artificial component to the value,
right?
And if it's not an organic value, it's not real value. At some point in time, it's going to collapse. It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable, but it doesn't become worth it to build reasonably priced. Like, we want to build affordable housing. It's not worth it because, again, if it's $50,000 for me to build a simple 2-bedroom single-family house in Minnesota that's only worth $150,000, that means I got to somehow build that house for less than $75,000 plus my $50,000 in permits. So now I'm at $125,000, and then if I can sell it for $150,000, I made $25,000. Why would I do that when the same $50,000 in permits plus if I build a house for $150,000? Now I can sell that motherfucker for $300,000. It's the same investment cost as far as what I got it, because most of these people are playing with loans and shit anyways. So it's the same investment cash out of pocket for me, but I make a way better return on my investment. So we need to build more affordable housing, and then they try to raise your taxes, and the government's going to go build that affordable housing, but they never actually do. They never actually follow through with it. It never actually ends up happening. If anything, all they do is go buy property. And it's like, and they're like, now we have way more affordable housing because it's all city controlled. And it's like, but you didn't build any of it. You just took over existing structures. So there's actually less homes on the market in the actual free market, which again, now brings up the cost because there's more demand or less supply, or both.
Right. Yeah.
It's not one thing, but it's also
always
not that complicated to understand.
Exactly. But I don't think a lot of people are ever in a situation where they're told or shown the full picture. Our politicians barely ever talk about it. It's always as simple as, the greedy billionaires, we need to tax them more or something. That's about as simplified a message that they give, but they don't explain that you could take every single dollar from every single billionaire and fund the government for a short amount of time. Doesn't change nothing. And, the government has a problem is every time the government raises taxes, from what I understand, if let's say the government raises a tax a dollar, they spend $1.50. So it doesn't matter if they raise taxes. We're still back in a worse situation than we were before.
I do believe that is basically the heart of it, is that they'll go, well, we have a deficit of, let's just say, $1 billion in the state of Minnesota. So then they raise the property taxes, but then they still spend more, or then they're like, well, now we need more money.
Yeah.
So they keep saying we're going to tax the rich, but then let's say they do tax the rich. Oh, we're a 0.5%. That's a lot of money for the rich, but whatever. Fine, we made our $1 billion, but then they turn around the next year. They're like, we need another half a billion,
and they've spent $1.5 billion on something,
and they need another $500 million, and they're like, well, we can't tax the rich again. So then they turn around and they tax the middle class or the lower class. So it always ends up. So I agree with you 100%. It doesn't matter how much you tax us, the poor, the rich, the middle class. It doesn't matter. The number one thing we have to do is get government spending under
absolutely
control.
Yep.
It's not any more complicated than that.
Wasn't like Thomas Massey he voted on one raise of the debt ceiling. He only agreed to it if they agreed to reduce government spending by 1%. And they said yes to get them to vote for it.
And then they
didn't. Yeah, not even by 1%. I mean, that's sad. I don't know, man. I don't think government can help itself. I just don't think. I think we're gonna see.
And we're not even talking about fraud yet. We're just talking about rampant spending.
Yeah, well, a lot of that fraud. A lot of it is a fraud component because they know what they're doing.
But a lot of it's not. I'm saying like a lot of the government overspending isn't even malicious fraud. There's people ripping off the government, so there's people scamming the government. But it's not like the government is going, we're going to tax these people and then we're going to give it to all our friends. I know that does happen, but that's not the whole of the government.
Right, but I honestly believe that our Congress people and our senators know full well that's part of the game. You know what I mean? So I do believe they know, but they never talk about it. There's a handful that talk about it. Or they'll just pretend that it's a partisan thing. It's the left is doing it or the right is doing it.
Yeah, right.
Like Doge or whatever. It's like, the left is funneling all this money to, covert programs, really funding other stuff. And
it doesn't matter who's in control of the government.
Doing that shit too.
Yeah, and it's not even, and I don't even think it has anything to do with right or left or Democrat or Republican at that point.
No.
That's those bureaucrats that stay in power regardless of who's president, regardless of who's senators.
The official deep state. Yeah.
Yeah, you can call them the deep state if you want. I mean, it's a little paranoia. It's a little paranoid when you say the deep state, but these are your actual government appointed bureaucrats that are, and they're there for a good reason. And what I mean by good reason is the road to hell is always paved with good intentions. The reason these people are there, the reason these institutions and these appointees are there is for consistency and stability. Because if every 4 to 8 years we shifted leaders and actually had everything they wanted put in place, not only would we never get anything done, it would be fucking chaos.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know what I mean?
But that, to me, is also part of why it shouldn't work and we shouldn't do it in the first place.
We shouldn't be doing 180s all the time, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah. So these bodies kind of, when you get in office, you can change course by 15 degrees, which is a huge changing of course, especially the longer time you have in office. But yeah, we can't be having radical changes every
because you get a whole bunch of people on a government brand new assistant program, and then all of a sudden you take that away. Exactly. You create a chaos that
way worse than what was there before. Right. Exactly.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So I think it's hilarious because, again, when I say I think things are funny, it's because I saw it coming a mile away, and I've been warning people pretty vocally for years. So I think this thing that's happening in Florida with these white dudes being arrested for taunting these Muslim people, I think it's hilarious because it's inevitable. Yes. It's coming. Yep. And I think it's been coming for, you could argue, depending on how philosophical you want to be, you could argue this has been coming for a couple hundred years. You know what I mean? You could argue that this is never going to stop. Like fucking the Muslims come over, they do some wild shit, they get pushed back. They come back over, and it's how long does it take for us to forget that it happened last time? Mm-hmm. That's my personal opinion.
I think, again, I think it's a multifaceted issue. It's because it's not only that we, for some reason, feel enlightened and that we can peacefully coexist with everybody. Like it's like some kind of intellectual pursuit. I don't.
You're talking like the virtue signaling.
Just a bit, like we can coexist. We can take everybody and we can live together and whatever. But the more you have in common with somebody, the better off you generally are. Correct. I think to some degree that is the case. that the differences people aren't going to differences are going to come to head at some point in time, but then we also do the other shady shit too, where we're bombing Muslim countries and we're fucking over Muslim people all over at the same time as pretending we're the ones that if we're the peaceful ones,
right?
And it's not 100% true, and we're creating the very problem that is we're reinforcing and giving radicals. We're funding radicals. Not only that, but we're giving them the ammunition to use against us.
Right.
Those videos that you shared about those guys insulting this, blows my mind that people would do that, because to me, I see that as working against our interests. Like that is going to be used as a recruitment video. You know what I mean? Those kind of things are going to inspire radical attacks.
I agree with you. 100%. I certainly wouldn't take part in something like that. I think if you really do believe in Jesus, I don't think Jesus would be too proud of you.
No.
However, if I have to play devil's advocate, it's like, especially in a place like Florida or Texas or really anywhere in the South, or honestly, I'm surprised New York, like there's certain cities where, they're known for being like, fuck you, this is fucking New York, we do things this way. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the South, this is Florida, this is fucking Texas. You know what I'm saying? Like, I knew at some point in time, some people were going to be like, no, the line has been crossed. Because, again, it's not just that these Muslims are coming here and, I know peaceful Muslims. It's like, talk to them, really get them comfortable, and then just casually ask them when you think you're not, they think you're not judging. I mean, you don't think gay people should be killed, and they're like, actually, yeah, I do believe in that one, and you're like, wait, what? And you really get to the heart of it, and none of them believe in the American value, the liberal value, the constitutional value, whatever you want to call it.
Only the ones that aren't like strict. But then again, our Christianity is the same way. Where
it's not, though. It's really not.
I'm not in the way, not necessarily the violent aspect. I'm saying in the same way that we have different degrees in which there's a spectrum in which we follow our religion. You know what I mean? There are super fundamentalist type religious people, and then some people that are only religious in name. Yeah, fair. I believe in God, but I really don't practice anything. I don't go to church or what. There's a wide variety, and I'm sure it's the same in the Muslim culture too. So there are some.
The difference is what's in the books, though. Is there's nothing in the Christian New Testament. I'm not talking about the Old Testament, the Torah, which is literally a different religion. We just include them because one came from the other. There's absolutely nothing in the New Testament that says, if you're a Christian, it's your job to go force Christianity to people, and if they reject it, you either turn them into a slave or you kill them. There's literally that's not said once, where it's said repeatedly over and over again in the Quran. So, yes, there's different versions and how devout they are, and there are different sects, but none of them can say that that's not in the Quran. None of them can, they'll be like, yeah, it actually is in there. And then if you really, so do you believe this?
Yeah, you're allowed to lie and to deceive and stuff against infidels or whatever.
All that shit. And stuff, exactly. And then if you go, so do you really believe this? And if you get them like all riled up, they're going to be like, no, and they're going to lie to you. But if you get them comfortable and you make them feel like you're not judging them, they'll be like, well, yeah, because God said it. So it's the absolute truth. So anything in the Quran is just, and I'm like, so again, I feel like it was only a matter of time. And I think it's going to get worse. So I have this theory that in the cosmic scale at the same time is pretty wide open, right? Mm-hmm. And you can take this with the biggest grain of salt you want, but relatively at the same time, I believe we're going to have World War III, the Second American Civil War, and a religious war between Islam and everyone else all at the same time. I think it's going to be true fucking chaos across the globe. And I think a lot of this is intentional. A lot of this Muslim shit is intentional to destabilize us, to get us there, so we can't go across the globe. We have to concentrate here, right? So it's going to prevent us from going and doing other things in other parts of the globe. And I think a lot of that's intentional.
Oh, I definitely believe that there are multiple factions that are interested in tearing apart how our society is, because it's the rules and laws and nation states. They're all pesky problems to deal with, especially when you're trying to do business on a global level as well. Because I got to obey these laws when I'm selling in China, and I got to do this when I sell in Korea and Russia, and there's all these things that cost money. And if you could just somehow simplify it and make it easy and get your products everywhere under the same rules, it's obviously better for the bottom line. So, yeah, getting rid of some sovereignty of the countries is part of the goal. And you do that by destroying the culture, causing conflict. I mean, what part of our culture, the American culture, isn't in conflict right now? We got gender fights. We've got, ideologies, even political differences. We've got religious differences, even differences on liberty issues, on what's freedom and what's not freedom. You ask most people that are afraid of anybody owning guns, and then you got half the country that's like, no, fuck that. We are going to own guns. We need to own guns. But yeah, I think this is all intentional.
Out of those three, which one are you most worried about?
I'm not worried about war. You know that I'm opposed to war. But in a sense where it'd be unrealistic to think that anybody should grow up in a time where they're not going to have to defend themselves at some point in time. All throughout history, whether when people were tribes, they were defending themselves against other tribes at some point in their life. Right. How many people ever had a situation where they just went their whole life and never had any conflict? Even in the short time that America's been around, we've been involved in quite a bit of war, and we're kind of sheltered from some of it because we're not overseas. We fight most of that stuff abroad. But so I guess I'm really not too worried about any of it. The worst part is a civil war would be, you're fighting against fellow countrymen, even possibly family members. The North and South fought. Families were divided along those lines too.
And I don't think it'll be such a clean line this time.
No, it's going to be weird this time because
each state will be in its own civil war.
Right. Yep. And there will be some of us that are stuck in the wrong state, which I feel like Minnesota, I'm stuck in the wrong state. It might be bad news for us,
Yeah.
But who knows? Who knows how it turns?
Yeah, you could have to move.
Yeah, who knows how that turns out too? Because in reality, how much can Minnesota really do to the rest of the country or the rest of the state? It takes a lot to.
I don't think Minnesota could survive the way with the current if a civil war popped off.
They couldn't sustain that. No.
Minnesota wouldn't be able to stay the liberal beacon of the North.
Nope.
Because we're surrounded by red states.
Correct. And yeah, well, and the thing is I would think they would probably try, but the problem isn't just that there might be some attrition that would happen there when you're trying to take over the farms and whatever.
Well, especially,
but I think the problem would be, you need people in order to inhabit and occupy spaces too. So you're just taking people out of the cities.
Well, especially if you consider the idea, because none of this communist shit, none of this makes any sense in a place like Minnesota, right? The indigenous to the settlers that came here, the entire idea of growing up in a climate like this is you have to earn your own keep or you will fucking die from the elements, from the winter. However, when you live in a community, we don't just let people die. The disconnect comes when you say you have to give up an eighth of your food supply.
It's never that.
Somebody's going to go in because this other guy needs to eat and we can't let him die. So here's how it really happens in a community. You'd go, well, dude, if we all just give up an eighth, he can survive, and everybody's gonna do it. Okay, I'll give him the pork belly, you give him the fucking ribs, you give him this. Oh, I got a turkey. Boom, now we can survive. But the moment another governing body comes in and says, you have to give him 1/8 of your food or else, right? Then we got fucking problems. Because how do I know he really even needs it at that point? Because now we're talking about giving it to somebody I don't know. That's the point. When it's Jimmy down the road, we're not going to let fucking Jimmy die. But when you're taking it from me and giving it to somebody I've never met, I don't even know that they actually need it. People go, Jared, of course they need it. Well, let's talk about feeding our future.
Yep.
Right? Let's talk about whether they actually need it or get it or not. This is my fucking problem with this idea. So I think the only way you can even be that type of thinker in a state like Minnesota is when you grow up your entire life insulated within the city limits, struggling in that capitalistic environment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think if we go to any type of civil war and all the creature comforts go out the window, I don't think those people can maintain control because they can't maintain stability because they can't provide all the free things and all the housing and because it's going to go back to
correct.
Can you fucking take care of yourself?
So then what the metropolis and the government of Minnesota would do then is then they're going to still want to hold on to that. They're still going to want to have power. They're going to use those people. They're going to mobilize those people against everybody else out in the state.
They can fucking try, but none of them own any guns.
Well,
none of them have any strength.
Let's say even if the government gave them guns, it's still not going to end up working for them in the end because what has if you look at Russia, look at any of these.
You're going to conscript a bunch of fucking little twinks?
Look at what they did to the farmers. They didn't say you have to give up 1/8 of your crop. They came and took all of the crop and they decided farm. Where it went.
Not even though some of them. That's what's interesting too is how do they do it? Some of them they just take your crop at the end of the year. Like you see in the movies, the evil empire comes down and they take your crop and they leave you to starve. Other times, they just take the farm and install people to operate it now.
That was kind of the China. That was the China Mao situation.
Correct.
Kind of, yeah.
Yep. And that's even more terrifying because at least the first one we have the ability to fight, right? The second one they come in with the courts, or big business or whatever because that's what it seems like they're doing, right? Mm-hmm. It seems like they're not doing it through sheer government's going to do it. They're coming under the guise of. We're going to take control of this because you guys can't farm it properly anymore. So we're going to give it to this big corporation that has a track record of being able to grow and harvest and make a lot of food. And that is a real thing that's happening.
And that actually might, if you think about it, what you said, that might be the difference in how it happens this time versus in the past. Because in the past, it was always like you either killed the people that could farm it properly or you gave it to someone else that had no interest in farming it properly and just tried to get shit out.
They're going to do it with housing, too. Yep. And that's how they're doing it, with the rent control thing.
But now they can get corporations, farms, and scientists and everything to make these crops provide a yield,
So even
it might be a little different this time, but...
Even more relatable is the housing thing. So with the rent control, right, if they get their way and they control the market, the problem is that if... one of the easiest ways to build wealth in this country is to, instead of buying a regular home for your first home, you buy a duplex. You live in half of it, you rent the other side out. Self-explanatory. Everybody gets that principle. And then if you're smart, you buy another duplex and you rent all 4 of them out, and that's how you pay for your single-family home. Until the government puts controls on the rents that you can charge, and they do things like you can only increase it by 3%. Well, that's fine until you raise taxes by 8%, until inflation is also 8%, until the cost of repairs. And maybe in my situation, in our market, we have to pay for utilities, right? Now, utilities have gone up, energy costs have gone up. So suddenly that 3% doesn't actually cover it. And I'm basically making $20 a month. Yep. At some point in time, it doesn't become profitable. So the only thing that happens is you've now turned the rental market into a market that only billion-dollar corporations can afford. Correct, because they can afford to make $20 a month because they're going to do it 1,000 times at scale. Exactly. Yeah. So these people, again, they come in under the guise that they're helping the poor, but I'm telling you, the only thing they do is hurt the poor.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. For sure. I think it's the nature of like organic. It's like everything's got to be organic. Like business should be organic. It shouldn't be government subsidized. It shouldn't be. It should be as free market as possible, I think. I mean, there's obviously, you could probably get me to sign on to some kind of regulations like exploitation and shit like that. Yeah, sure.
We need some building regulations.
But we probably will disagree on what some things are exploitation and not, Because I don't believe in like minimum wage, because I think minimum wage is still a part of the exploitation.
It's the same thing as rent control.
Yeah. It causes some issues. But yeah.
I do believe in child work laws, though. I don't think you should be able to send your 12-year-old
into a coal mine. No, but like
your 8-year-old. But a 12-year-old, if he wants to go mow lawns, that's fine.
But like, if you think about, why I would contest that is because back in the day, you had a farm. Your 12-year-old was out in the farm too.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
So and that grew strong people. That grew okay people. It's when you put that child in danger is probably a different story. Not that a farm isn't not dangerous.
Right, it's like, maybe the most dangerous.
I don't know.
No, I see what you're saying, though, and you're right, because then you got to be careful with that, too, because then, I adopt all these kids.
Yeah.
So they are your kids now, but it's like, but you're literally doing it for free labor.
Yeah.
That's it, and you're not taking care of these kids. You're neglecting them. They have poor dental care. Like, dude, you don't love these kids.
That's when you've now brought up the the exploitation part of it, and of course you got to have clear legal definitions on what stipulates the exploitation of these kids. I don't know I think the child labor law might be a little too strict.
Well, and it doesn't really apply until the kid works a certain amount of time, right?
Which is kind of weird too, because we all like, oh, why don't you go mow the neighbor's yard for $5? Or like shit we did as a kid, or like who. You could hit your whole neighborhood and work all day. Nobody would frown upon that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So why couldn't they operate a till?
Well, because I think the idea is that when you're doing it, and I'm just riffing here. I think the idea is when the kid's doing that, he's working for himself. It's entrepreneurial. He's not being exploited or taken advantage of by anybody else. I think that's the idea.
I think. Yeah, there's definitely a tinge that makes it look different, but in the end, the end process is the same. You're selling your time in order to make money, and your labor in order to make money.
Sure.
There's a part of like not owning your own business that's nice, and you can just show up and punch in and get a paycheck.
Right.
Because that once you do start your own business, you're actually kind of married to it more than if you're just working 9 to 5 somewhere.
Right.
It's an all-day thing. You have to answer emails. You can't ignore them for that long. At some point in time, you're going to be working on weekends. You're going to be answering that phone during dinner time. You're going to be doing these things that you wouldn't do working for someone else. So it's a trade-off.
Right.
I think working for yourself can be a bigger trap than just working for someone else in some degree. But having kids have some kind of skills before they're 18 is good too, So,
yeah, it's a weird thing, right? And that is why you need government, is to at least figure out these nuances.
Yeah.
But then we get.
Now, we don't want kids to flood the market for cheap labor either, because like there used to be a time when one person in the family had to work, two as well. Like a father could sustain his family.
Right,
the mom stayed home with the kids or whatever.
That's the real problem, right? Is that the cost of wages hasn't, and this is where I do kind of agree with the left a lot, actually, is that you used to be able to have one person financially support a family, not necessarily like a high quality of life. We're not saying you'd be rich.
Right.
Well, you could be, but like it was pretty common. We kind of had the same class structure we have now, but you only needed one person to do it.
Right.
And yeah, you still had your rich people, your middle class, and you had your poor people, but you only needed one income.
But at least you're raising a child with family values as opposed to your school's values, your society's values.
Because you had one parent staying home.
Yep.
And then the sacrifice was, well, we can make a lot more money. We can double our income if you also go get a job. And yeah, it will have a difference on our kids' lives, but there's a trade-off there, right?
Yep.
Now you can have both parents work. You have to have both parents work usually, and you're still broke. That's, I think, the big difference, because the cost of the wages has not naturally increased as inflation and the cost of everything has gone up.
I work 4 jobs right now, and
it's
tough, man. It's tough.
Like, again, going back to the immigrant thing, right? Like, that's another, I think, a big misnomer of, like, who's going to pick your crops? Like, here's the thing. The Mexicans are smart. They do these shitty blue-collar jobs because nobody else wants them, but it doesn't mean they do them for shit pay. Like, they're doing the roofing, and the roofers get paid well.
Yeah,
like, they're driving really nice trucks. They have nice houses. Like, the Mexicans are not poor.
No,
like, at least in Minnesota. I'm only talking about Minnesota.
In a lot of cases too, they're also
blue collar.
They're also pooling resources as far as like living in the same house. They don't have.
They all shop at Costco.
They don't have their kid in daycare taking up almost a whole person's wages with daycare. You know what I mean? So
they have one person making all the food. They have a abuelita or whatever it's called.
Well, I don't know.
A couple women in the house that just like they stay home. They watch the kids and they make all the food. So when the guys go out, they're not fucking wasting a lot of money. They bring their food to the job site. Just the same thing we did when we grew up. Like, you bring a lunchbox, all that shit. So again, you come to the city life, you grow up in this cushy city, you leave the house with nothing, you're stopping at a Starbucks, you go out to eat every day.
I'm guilty of that.
You pay, but I'm just saying you overpay for fucking everything.
For sure, yeah.
And then you go, well, I want to buy a house, and like, oh my God, this house in Edina, it's $500,000. Like, that's a cheap house in Edina.
And I don't want roommates.
That's exactly. That's what I'm saying is the entitlement. I think we have an entitlement problem on top of
100%
everything else that we have, because people's perceptions of what they deserve at certain ages, when they haven't done anything, they haven't proven anything. Like, to buy a house, you need to save up 20%. Not anymore. Now you just need 3%. Right? So they don't even have the same financial value structure that it takes to get into those things. And then oh my God, it's so $500,000 in Edina or St. Louis Park.
If we only had 100-year mortgars, we could probably solve all the problems.
That's coming. I guarantee you could do. I guarantee you could get a 99-year mortgage right now if the house is in a trust. I guarantee you could do a 99-year mortgage, because the trust is what owns it. So it doesn't matter if you die or not. You know what I mean?
And it's not exactly rent. It's kind of like a subscription. I don't know, man. This is weird.
It is weird, dude.
Yeah.
It's all getting weird. I think out of those 3 things that I think the World War scares me the most because of nukes, right? We've never fought a world war where nukes were a thing, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know that.
So that scares the shit out of me a little bit. The Civil War thing scares me because you could have to move. But the religious war scares the shit out of me too, because those people, not everybody's going to take that one seriously. And I think they're going to blindside a lot of people because there's going to be other shit happening. And so I don't think we will be organized in any way against that, because I'm not going to ever join a militant Christian church. You know what I mean? I'm not joining a Christian militia. I'm not doing any of that. It's me and my wife, but I live in Minneapolis, dude. And if they decide to make a run, nobody's going to back me up. You know what I mean? Everybody's going to run it's every man for himself, and it's going to be fucking chaos. And then everybody in this place is going to be terrified to retaliate because you're going to look like a racist bigot in the middle of a war.
I don't know.
That one scares the shit out of me, dude.
I think you're going to have, we've already had situations where you had Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and things like that.
Yeah, but again, I'm not part of those groups.
But it'll be the next level. I don't know that you can say that per se, because there'll be some self-interest in, allying with some people at some point in time, whether you agree with them or not.
Until 50% of your neighbors think it's all perfectly fine. They're not taking the threat seriously because the local media is not displaying the information because they're afraid it'll make
sure.
You know what I mean?
You could be in your situation could be at ground zero,
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And even across the whole.
What if you're in Dearborn, Michigan?
Yeah, you're you're
fucked.
If you're in your own area, who's to say this neighborhood is the first to go? Once you got a couple neighborhoods get hit pretty hard, you might see resistance, and resistance will come hard. I do believe the country would have a backlash. I mean, we had a history of segregation and all this terrible shit at some point in time. I think you would see a backlash where there would be hunting parties for sure going after people that were Muslims or whatever.
Yeah.
Anybody that doesn't look like them.
Yeah, and that scares the shit out of me too. Yep. That's actually almost worse.
Yeah, because it's there's kind of an anarchy component to that where now we're not looking at people as humans.
Dude, have you seen that FBI agent, the big guy who went on Rogan and he went undercover with the biker gangs?
Oh yeah.
And Joe's like, so what do you like? Because he goes, we don't really deal with biker gangs anymore. You know, they kind of move on to the next thing. And Joe's like, so what are you guys on right now? And he goes, I can't really talk about it, but there's some shit going down at Dearborn.
Yeah.
Dude, this is what he's talking about. So the FBI is well aware.
Well, the FBI...
But they're not doing anything about it because, again, there's certain legal things where we can't target Muslims. Well, it's against the law.
Well, you got to understand the FBI has infiltrated white supremacist groups and different type of militant groups in our country for a long time. I mean, if you look at Oklahoma City bombing during that time, they had eyes on McVeigh. They had people in Elohim City and all that stuff. They are part of pushing it.
But
you know what I mean?
If you're talking about infiltrating the actual religion and the actual religious group, it'll never fucking happen. It's so insulated and so protected.
Oh, you mean as far as the Muslims?
Yeah,
I know.
At best, you can flip one to turn on their people and get some inside information, but you're not sending in a spy because, well, I guess you could if he's a real true American and he just looks Muslim and you like put him through everything, you make him go, you know what I mean? But if he ever flips and converts, you're fucked,
dude. World Tower Trade Center the World Trade Center bombing '93. They had infiltrated that group. They had an informant on the inside with the FBI handler and everything. So, and the bomb still went off.
That's where those conspiracies come from because they like let it happen, right?
And
a false flag attack. Yep. These are the classics, right?
Yep, and that's proven fact. That's not even a conspiracy theory.
And we know the government does false flags because of is it Northwoods?
Northwoods, yep.
And the Gulf of Tonkin.
Gulf of Tonkin was the lie,
and there's one or two more that I can't remember off the top of my head, but we all get the point.
Well, even Operation Ajax in Iran when we overthrew the dictator in 1953. Not dictator, but their actual sort of president.
Imam or whatever it was called?
No.
That's
he was sort of a president. I forget what they call him.
Look this up. What was the
Mossadegh was his name.
The leader of Iran in 1953.
Yep. What was his official title? Mohammad Mossadegh.
What was his title?
He was a prime minister. He was a democratically elected prime minister.
What was it called? Oh, prime minister.
Yep.
Got it.
But we staged, terrorist attacks and had fake protesters, paid protesters, and everything during back then. So I mean, that's the same kind of stuff you see now. I mean, there's a big conspiracy like, oh, every protester is a paid protester. No, you don't need that. You just need a certain amount of paid protesters. But a lot of people be there on their own dumb ignorance, But,
so not only do we know that we have done this, and we are willing to do this, including false flags and installing people and overthrowing governments and all that shit, you'd be an idiot if you didn't say, well, everyone else has to be trying to do that to us then too.
Yeah,
so China has to be trying to install politicians. They have to be trying to install spy rings and terrorist organizations.
Yep.
And they got to be trying to make it look like somebody else is doing it while also making sure China benefits. Russia has to be doing the same thing.
Correct, yep.
And then every Muslim religion or Muslim nation we've fucked over that we've created, and they also have to be doing it. So it's not, once you realize that, it's not even an unreasonable thing to consider that people from an organized sect of Islam are trying to destabilize and overthrow our government the same way we did to them for the last 70 years. Well, because that's the thing. There's 2 or 3 generations of people who grew up watching us do this. And so there's smart people over there, dude.
Sure.
They have to be watching this, and they have to have done the same thing I did with my podcast and the music scene. I basically created a playbook. Here's what all these bands are doing the same way, and it's working. Let's take that. Oh, these guys are doing something a little different. I don't know if that worked. Let's put that as a variable. And then when you sit back and you look at all these things, you can go, I think I know exactly how this thing actually works. I'm pretty sure I know exactly how it works. And there's different ways to get there, but you're still going to end up at the same.
Well, look at Osama bin Laden. What did we have Osama bin Laden do to the Russians?
And that was the 70s and 80s, right?
Lure them into a war in Afghanistan that would eventually bankrupt them. And then
weren't the Russians already there?
Then I don't know that they were. I thought the Russians were already there. Baited them into a war.
So I think the Russians were already there, and then we went and found Al Qaeda because they were just like a rebel group. And then I think we funded and trained them to basically suck the fucking Russians dry or bleed them dry. Look that up.
Which he ended up doing to us by dragging us into.
Did Russia invade before we teamed up with Al Qaeda?
Well, I'm sure
in Afghanistan.
I'm sure Russia had interest in Afghanistan for sure. Well, the same way we do.
I don't want to get too far into the weeds here. I'm just curious about this. They well before the United States teams up with the Mujahideen. Yes.
But we can't have Russia in these other territories that we want.
So they invaded in 1979, it says, and then I think we got involved in the 80s. So it was a couple years later. Scroll down. Go back up and click that. Yeah. Oh, it's just trying to bring you to the fucking... Scroll down. Dive deeper with AI. Oh, yeah. 1979 to 89, and then when...
The United States did not directly team up with Al-Qaeda, but it did provide support, funding, and
to weapons. The Mujahideen. So when did we do that? When did we get involved?
From 79 to 89, looks like.
When did we get involved?
Says there...
That's the Soviet-Afghan War, 79 to 89.
But it's saying, it's saying that we helped them fight that from that time period. See, 1979, July 1979.
Oh, it says we got involved several months before the Soviet invasion. Son of a bitch, you were right.
We.
Thanks, AI.
I wasn't quite sure what happened first, per se.
Wow, that's funny because we typed that in, and the surface level Google AI said
that Soviets
well before we got involved, and then we went to Gemini, which is also Google AI, and Google AI was like, "Oh yeah, we were there just a couple months before." So I think you're right. I think we went in there, and it was probably inevitable as well.
Yeah.
And so we were just like, "All right, let's fucking team up with somebody down there." But it's got to be happening, dude. It's got to be happening here. And it's got to be happening from all the enemies, not just one. Let's zero in on this and isolate them. We got to be realistic about all of it.
One of the things we need to look at is these bot accounts. I honestly do believe that adds
the farms.
Yeah, I think that adds a whole level of division. I got it still. Yeah, take a new one actually. I think it shows, it gives people an incorrect perspective on what people really want, because when you have 1,000 bots saying this thing, and I go online and I see that thinking they're all real people, then I'm willing to, it might influence me into thinking.
Both sides are doing this for sure. That's what I was going to say earlier is that's one thing that's happening now. Twitter made this transparency thing happen.
I think that's awesome.
And a bunch of these red pill accounts are popping up as originating in other countries.
Yep.
And people are like, "Oh, look at this. And it's like, dude, look at the name of the account. It's mega country for Donald Trump for president. It's like, that is so obviously a bot account. If you ever took that, because here's the thing, I will share some of those memes or some of those stories, knowing it's from a propaganda source, but that's not the point. The point is, it's still true what they're saying.
Correct.
But when they obviously share something that's not true, I don't share the untrue thing because I know it's a propaganda site. So where it's coming from is irrelevant. We have to acknowledge whether what they're saying is
it's only
true
relevant under certain circumstances.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like when I see them go breaking news, fucking.
Because, I mean, Tucker Carlson has been wrong. Alex Jones has been wrong. Rachel Maddow has been wrong. It doesn't mean that you can't ever share anything they ever say in the future, because some of that's going to be right.
And the pushback would be like, well, it's, you just said, it's a propaganda site. Well, here's the thing. Everything's kind of a propaganda site now. There is no unbiased news sources anymore.
This is what actually kind of pisses me off about people saying, well, that's just Soviet propaganda or something.
I say that all the time.
Because some of that stuff is still true. When it's convenient to share the truth for one side, they will share, and they will push the shit out of that truth. They might even embellish that truth a little bit.
Correct.
But the bottom line is, that's still the truth, so we can't ever just dismiss stuff as propaganda. I mean, the weird thing is, dying for your country bullshit. That can be some propaganda, where you get people to have some weird sense of patriotism that they probably shouldn't have,
Which all countries have been doing that.
Right.
The Nazis invented that, but then we took that. We brought that over here. I was listening to Rogan incorrectly tell that story today. He was talking about we didn't really have war movies until after World War II, and we did it because we had a problem after World War I of trying to get people to go fight. And that's not
It wasn't us, it was the Prussians.
It was the Germans.
Yeah, the Prussians before.
It was after the Germans lost World War I. Because going into World War I, those kids were stoked to go to war because they had all these stories and plays about mighty Prussian warriors from the ancient history. They got their asses kicked. Well, they didn't get their asses kicked in World War I. Nothing happened in World War I on that side of the war. It was a stalemate, but it's widely regarded as the most gruesome and bloody war of all time because they had Gatling guns, so they had modern warfare weaponry, but they were still using Civil War era tactics.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just a bloodbath. And so morale was really low after they lost that war. And so the Nazis invented the war stories and the war movies and the war propaganda to raise morale. And then when we seen it work, then we took it. It had nothing to do with our people after World War I.
I have a fascination with World War II, and I think a lot of guys do, but
everybody does. But World War I,
but nothing is more disgusting than watching those old black and white World War II documentaries where it's clearly propaganda. And it's
you're talking about the colorized.
Yeah, and it just I was super stoked about back when VHS was around. I bought this set. And as soon as I put it in, I could the music, everything was just pure propaganda. And I was like, I'm not going to see any real shit in this documentary.
You know what depresses me about that shit? Again, it's all true though. Right? It's all that propaganda was true. Like, for example, my favorite piece of propaganda I ever saw.
Uncle Joe calling Stalin, Stalin Uncle Joe, and we got to support that kind of stuff. This wasn't to me.
Do you remember? Do you remember they did the So first of all, they did a national speed limit, I think, of 45 miles an hour. And it was to conserve the wear and tear on the tires of your vehicle because we had a rubber shortage and we needed to send as much rubber as we could to the front lines and to the manufacturing plants. So my favorite piece of propaganda, and so then the next stage was they didn't make it a law, but they strongly encouraged people to carpool. Right? During World War II. And my favorite piece of propaganda I've seen, it's a picture, it's a poster. See if you can find this. World War II propaganda. If you ride alone, you ride with Hitler.
Oh my god.
And so it's a picture, it's a painting of a dude driving in his fucking convertible. And it's him driving with his arm around Hitler, who's sitting in the front seat with him. I love it, dude. I think shit like that.
If this is real, I gotta see it.
It's definitely real. I saw it in school.
Oh yeah, look.
Yeah, show us the poster. There it is.
Oh, it's like, yep, it's an outline of Hitler.
There it is. Oh, I thought he had his arm around it, but that's definitely
it. Might as well. Yeah, might as well. That might have been too gay. It might have been saying that,
awesome.
you're riding with Hitler and you're gay.
Join a car sharing club today. See? Yep. I love that. I think it's hilarious. I think that's so great. I just, because again, all countries do this. All countries do this to their own people. And here's the thing. Here's why I'm totally dismissing all of it. Is because if you don't do that, you lose the war. If you don't do that, that's what I'm saying. Like when your enemies play a certain level of a game, if you don't adapt and play that game as well, if not better than them, you will lose.
I do agree.
Nice guys finish last, all that kind of shit.
I do agree it's the intent of what you're trying to accomplish. If you're just like trying to have your country defend its country from something else, then that's one thing. But if you're trying to recruit people to go overseas and fight another country's battle, that's a different story altogether. You know, I don't know. I have an issue. I take issue with.
I do too. But again, and I'm not rationalizing it or justifying it, but I just have to explain, to play devil's advocate for a second. You got to understand how we get there, right? We get there because it's like where we came from was Europe, where all the wars were fought in your fucking hometown. Mm-hmm. And so we moved to this beautiful country with these huge borders. And the theory is we're going to stop those wars over there before they get over here. And unfortunately, now the war is a mental information war that's subversive, and it's already here to begin with. So that's where I revert back and I go, so stop fucking bombing everybody, because I'm not sure it's actually helping, because they're still coming, and now they're just coming and getting elected. And it's getting scary. It's getting scary when it comes to that shit.
I think, I don't know if Joe Rogan had some guy on there and he talked about Operation Gladio, which I'm glad somebody talked about that. But
pull this up.
Operation Gladio is the stay behind soldiers after World War II.
Oh,
and they did all kinds of crazy shit.
Dude, that podcast
it's
good.
Code name for the clandestine stay behind network organized by NATO and the CIA.
My wife listened to that podcast and she goes, I don't understand why he keeps citing Wikipedia like it's like this super credible source. And
it's just a quick reference, yeah.
Well, and I had to put it into context. I had to tell her he's trying to put it into context, meaning these aren't deep level conspiracies that you have to go deep dive to find.
Right.
This is a quick, simple search that's even talked about openly on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So he's setting the groundwork for you, like, all of these things are real and they happened, and in 30 seconds you can research it. Yep. And on Wikipedia, and if they cite all the legit sources as well. So you don't have to, it's not something you have to buy into. This is a fact that happened. It's even on Wikipedia. That's why he kept citing them.
But the shit that
this is that guy.
The shit that we did with Operation Gladio was a wide gamut of stuff.
So again, what you're talking about is we left soldiers behind and they turned into like a very secret, covert
assassinations.
False flag attacks, posing as terrorists.
Yep.
And again, these are proven facts. This is not an actual conspiracy. We did this.
Yep.
This is fucking crazy. But again, all countries do this. There's a 0% chance we're the only ones doing this. Mm-hmm. I think the difference is we're just better at it than everybody else.
Yeah, well, I think we're in a position right now to be the ones that are probably the best in the game at doing it.
We've always been kind of like that, though. So, like, when we won independence from the British, we invented guerrilla warfare, right? Like, we went into World War I and basically invented the aircraft carrier in World War I, and perfected it by World War II.
Well, I don't know if we invented guerrilla warfare. I think we rediscovered it. You know what I mean?
Well, true. The natives technically invented it. We just adopted it.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm kind of saying is like, that's what we're really good at, is the Americans are very good at evolving and adapting and taking the newest best thing and how do you apply it.
I don't even know if it's an American thing per se. It's usually the tactics used by a smaller force trying to defend themselves from a larger force. There's an acceptance that they come to acting that way because out of necessity. And so this happens and kind of all over, because little rebel groups will always kind of do this shit down like South America and shit like this, and Central America. I mean, this has always been the case. They never just line up, and be shot. If it's a 10 to 1 force, it's generally not done in an open field. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, you're going to do it covertly because you have to.
Yep. Yeah, because otherwise but
yeah, you're not fucking Rambo.
Yeah, exactly.
This is real life.
Yep,
right? You're right. You're right.
So I think, but American, we've just been uniquely in that situation where we kind of had to do that too. Obviously, how a bunch of colonies defend themselves against the mega powers of the world at the time, France and England, and they were superpowers.
Yeah, that's, I think, the other thing is, I think the other reason nobody else has maintained this kind of power and this ability to do what we've done, including the innovation, is because every so many decades, somebody's invading your country. Whether it's the Spanish, the French, the British, the Vikings, somebody, you know what I mean? And then you can do that. You can take that. I'm just mentioning this because that's where most of us came from in this country. But you can take that and put that in the Middle East. That same thing, those fucking parts of the country. It's, well, now the fucking so-and-so's invading. Now so-and-so's invading them. Now so-and-so's invading them. Blah, blah, blah. You can do that in the Southeast, right? With the Indians, the actual Indians, you can do that all the way over to Asia.
Yeah, I think that's
Vietnam,
to be honest with you, I think
Korea.
it's the natural state of man and society. Anytime
conflict.
you have groups, there's going to be conflicts.
But then we were able to isolate ourselves over here while still maintaining the ability
to influence,
to communicate, so we were still getting ideas from other places in the world because we had allies, right? So we're still getting all the information. And then because nobody's ever been able to fuck with us and destabilize us, nobody's ever been able to invade us, we've just been slowly continuing to make progress, unlike all the other nations. It seems like they always seem to have a major setback every so many decades. And now we're 7 decades out of World War II. And it sounds like we're going back to World War III by all stretches of the imagination. And it's going to be right back in Europe.
It's hard to see us not going into that. And I think this is the same thing with the Civil War. It's the same thing with anything. I think we're at a point to where we've fucked with government and made it so big that any little thing we do is affecting people's lives. It's a difference. It used to be back in the day where you could vote on a bill and it never affected the average person. Sure, a bridge got built somewhere or something, but it never really affected the people over here. And now every little thing, I know that I've personally lost promotions because of bailouts.
Yep.
So I have had government directly affect my life and my trajectory of my life.
Yeah.
So I think, and now that government's just continually to get bigger and bigger and bigger, that it's eventually going to be a situation where we're going to have to fight each other because we can't keep taking it. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's interesting too because I think the government's always negatively affected. Every time the government does something, it negatively affects people.
Right.
How many people has always changed.
Correct.
But I believe up until a certain point, and you could probably judge when this threshold was better than I, up until a certain point, those government decisions to build that bridge, to do this thing, benefited more people than it hurt. Whereas now, for sure now, I believe most of the time when the government does something, it is actually hurting more people than it's helping.
Yeah.
When do you think that flipped?
Well, I don't know. It's hard to say because even you basically have to do it like what you said, where the outcome benefits more people than it hurts. Because, obviously, if I have the market cornered in an area for providing a certain good, and now you've just put a bridge to connect another place to where they can get the goods over the bridge, then that kind of hurts my business. So no matter what government does, it does hurt somebody. For everything it gives you, it has to take from someone else.
Right.
Unlike
Jeff Bezos inventing Amazon. Right? He got his billions by not fucking anybody over, by learning how to mail people books. Right? And then he started mailing saws and video cards and eventually the government relationship came to fruition, though, because now I think Amazon does the CIA, the cloud, all the cloud work for the CIA and all this shit, data storing, and so they're pretty much in bed with each other.
You can probably Google that. I think.
I just mean the common narrative of like
Yeah, see, Amazon Web Services, $600 million 10-year cloud contract with the CIA.
Yeah. Here's the problem, dude. Here's the problem with cloud infrastructure. There's only really 3 companies that do it all, and so everybody is using Amazon for something, right?
Correct. Yeah, I agree with that.
Just a couple weeks ago, or a month or whatever it was ago, when Amazon got hacked. They got a DDoS attack. I can't believe I actually understand what all this is now. So that service went down. Yeah. That service went down, or those services that AWS provides went down. So that's why some websites were unavailable, but others weren't. Certain websites were available, but like you couldn't buy anything because for some reason, whoever runs those people's credit cards, those people are using Amazon, right? So it was like certain systems went down at my wife's work.
And I totally understand what you're saying because the CIA uses rental car services too. That doesn't mean that there's some conspiracy or anything like this.
Exactly.
But at some point in time, when you've got multi-million-dollar contracts like this and data and all this stuff, there becomes a relationship that.
No, I totally get what you're saying.
Isn't a stretch to think it's
blurring the lines.
Yeah, for sure.
But again, it's either that or the government does this, but instead of it costing $600 million over 10 years, it's going to cost you $6 billion per year.
That might be true, but the thing is the government does do this as we spent billions in Utah over data collection centers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not dismissing that. I'm just saying so I guess here's what I'm getting at, right? When it comes to this specific contextual example of like cloud services, it has to happen. Like our government has to have some sort of cloud computing, certain things shared, data storage, backups, redundancies, all that shit.
Yeah.
And so they're either going to use a private contractor or they're going to do it themselves. And I guarantee you the government has some of their own. Mm-hmm. But they can't do it all, and it would be foolish because you need backups, you need redundancies. And so again, when you and again, this is kind of how we won World War II. All the other countries out there, they just took over all the factories and just started doing their thing. America was like Ford, build us tanks. Chevy, build us airplane engines. Mercedes-Benz, build us jet engines.
We did that with contract incentives and shit like that. You mean like even during the Iran-Contra affair, you had all kinds of businesses making components for serial numberless guns to be sent, to rebel group.
Because again, I'm not justifying whether our tax dollars should be going to do this. That's not my point. My point is the government is going to spend money on this, which means it's coming from your tax dollars whether you like it or not. And I truly believe that this is the most cost-effective, efficient way to do it because Amazon does still have to compete with 2 other cloud companies. So they had to present the best service for the lowest cost with the greatest security in order to secure that contract.
Yeah,
and I don't think the government can do that more effectively on their own.
I think that's a good, fair argument. I just think it's...
Even if you don't agree with me, that is just a sound argument as to why this...
I agree. I
should be this way.
Just think that everything is abused.
Of course.
So that's the issue.
Of course.
Its existence is going to create... the issues we're going to have.
Who are the big cloud computing companies? There's Amazon, Google, and who's the other one?
Well, if you look at Google, that's got
CIA. Is it Microsoft? I think it's Amazon, Google, and is Microsoft?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then I'm not sure about Microsoft. I'm not really sure where they're at, but I know like Google has deep government stuff.
Of course they do, and they have to because Google doesn't have to, but the CIA has to get into Google because Google is the #1 biggest search engine in the world. Do you know what number 2 is?
Right, but I'm just.
Do you know what number 2 is? YouTube, which is also fucking Google.
You know what I mean? Well, my thing is
the CIA has to get in there.
But it's not just that those things didn't exist. The CIA was part of its existence to begin in the beginning.
You think so?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's all DARPA and all that shit, all tied. And it's a rotating door for job careers in and out of DARPA into Google, and it's.
So you're talking the idea that they're infiltrated, which again they have to be down to the college level, down to getting kids through MIT, Harvard, Stanford, the greatest minds in the country. You come up with a great idea. Hey, we're gonna use this, and I do think that's true. Yeah. And I think the reward for it is, hey, you have this thing. We're gonna take this technology. We own it for 10 years, and your reward is not only will you be given money and a salary and help save the nation, but at the end of that, you will own the copyright to that and the private version of it, right? You'll have to change it a touch, and you can privatize that till your heart's fucking content. Because I know that has happened a lot. And I know that's how a lot. And I mean, like, for example, cell phones, cell phone batteries, portable recorders, including the Walkman. Every single piece of technology that we think of in that little field I just mentioned
started off as a
CIA.
Yeah, started off
specifically CIA. Hey, I need this battery. I need this battery to be smaller. I need a smaller recorder. I need a longer battery. I need to be able to communicate wirelessly. How do we do this? Like of that.
And then what you were saying about
government,
we need to do this because other countries are doing this. That I do agree on some level. If you're like black and white, just binary, like we have to do this.
You said all the trigger words.
Or we just die, we do this or we lose kind of thing. If you're like that cold
all or nothing
about it,
do or die, yeah.
But like in my sense, it's still like, then what is the purpose of life? I try not to be that calculated about that stuff. Like I think of it as we shouldn't engage in the exact same kind of stuff as our enemy.
Which we technically don't. We have ethical boundaries in the Constitution. So when it comes to what we blatantly, rampantly do, it's not as overt.
On the surface, that's what we pretend to have.
I don't think it's overt.
But we're still waterboarding people and secret prisons and raping children in front of their parents to get answers. And like we've done every cruel possible thing under the sun that we could possibly do. Overthrow countries, starve millions of kids.
Yeah, but we're doing it for democracy, bro.
Yeah, we're making the world a better place. So to me, it's like, yeah, I mean, if we didn't do it, somebody else would do it. I just don't kind of want to totally toe that line. But I understand that on some cold, calculated level that, yeah, obviously, two sides are going to fight. The strongest survives. I don't know. But then to me, I don't know. It's how you look at your life. What's your philosophy? And my philosophy is that you don't do that.
Well, and that's for me. I'm glad you said that because for me, it just boils down to simple things. I still believe in ideas of like freedom, democracy, liberty, which are two different things. And I like the idea that what we have here in America is still worth fighting for. Until it's not, right? So if there's going to be wars, if we're going to get dragged into fights, we should win those.
But I also think that's the same reason.
Let's avoid them, but if we get dragged into them, let's fucking win.
But it's the same reason why you could say we need some of this division anyway, because there needs to be a group still fighting ourselves and keeping us honest. Because there's always going to be contention.
Sure. When
other people have a direction they want to drive the country that's away from our original intent and goals.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not afraid of. Obviously afraid of war. I'm afraid of war, but I'm not afraid. It would not be in a situation where I'm trying to necessarily pretend that anybody's life should be without war. Because, like I said, when throughout history was that ever been a thing?
Right.
There's always been conflict, and I think it's unrealistic to think that we're all going to live in some utopia. So I'm not really worried about that kind of stuff. I'm just worried about what's the word? More like the reason behind the war itself.
Yeah. Well, and that's the weird thing for me is it seems inevitable, right? Like World War I to World War II to World War III. I think it's just one big long war. It's how hot did it get?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it heats up, it cools down. It heats up, it cools down. Because literally, I mean, you could really go back to... You could go back, if you really want to, you can go back almost as far as you want. You really can. Like, you can go back to the very beginning of written history, and you can show how every war just bleeds into the next war, which bleeds into the next war, so on and so forth. I just think we have the most documentation over the last 200 years, so it's really easy. So for example, when we won our independence, that was part of several wars that was already happening, and several more wars that were related to the wars before our war continued afterwards that we got in and out of over and over again between the French and the Spanish and the English. That shit, if you really look at it all, it's like that. None of those wars ever ended until World War I. When those Western countries all teamed up, we've been allies ever since. But then World War I, II, Korea, Vietnam, all of this, it's all directly related. It's to fight communism. That's the guys. Well, whether true or not, that's the guys. It's democracy and capitalism versus communism and socialism.
Like, if you were to say, like, oh, okay, Russia and China are on our shores, we got to fight, then I'm on board. But if you do another false flag where you're saying, oh, well, China bombed one of our ships and now we got to go over there and fight, I'm not on board.
Correct.
So to me, it's like, it's what the reason why we're fighting.
Correct.
I don't want to be the bad guy.
I'm 100% with you.
You know,
yeah. We don't want to be the aggressor.
Yeah.
Right.
Or the guy that is fighting on the wrong side when they know they're in the wrong. You know, let's say you're in a situation where your friend sleeps with another man's woman, and then he wants to drag you into a fight with that husband.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? I don't want to be involved in that. You got yourself into... I don't want to be on the wrong side of... even if I win, I don't want to be on the wrong side of this.
So let's put context into it now. Let's put context into it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing. That's not just a normal husband. That husband's been beating the absolute shit out of her, and he has a stranglehold on her for all the control, the bank accounts, everything. So she is leaving him, but you guys fell in love before she actually left him. So now we got some context, right? Like, he's a genuinely bad guy. And it's not just, I'm dragging you into a fight to go fight him. Like, if we don't go over there, he's going to kill her.
But see,
and we live in Minneapolis where the cops aren't coming, buddy. So now we've got some context where it's like, it's the trolley problem. But if you don't do anything, are those deaths on your hand? Because indirectly you allowed that, you know it's going to happen.
But what you're doing is...
Or do you do you passively do nothing and indirectly let the girl get killed? Or do you directly get involved and go beat up this guy where then you are directly doing the harm?
In your scenario, you know what happens in the end.
That's the trolley problem. You know the conclusion to both.
And in this case...
One problem is you do nothing and someone dies. The other problem is you do something and somebody else dies. Which do you do?
Right. But in my situation, there is no known outcome, per se. So that's why it's... once you change the I know the outcome, now you've changed the argument.
Well, I gave you an impossible scenario. It's less impossible with war because you usually do know why you're going into it, and you do know the outcome of that. Like, people are going to die. So do you not do it, or do you do it?
But wars could be avoided too.
But again, if you avoid the war, you also know people are going to die, because usually, with all things being equal, that's why you're getting involved, is because people are already dying. Theoretically.
I don't ever think it's that simple, because we do this game where we just think a country's an aggressor when it's all kinds of failed diplomacy and different other shit interests that are kicking off. You know, long-standing feuds between countries, false flags within those countries. You know, then it drags us into it, and it's like, as long as you can drag someone else into it, you're going to try more shit.
So in World War II, we did the indirect thing. We stayed out of it until we were attacked. Until we were attacked, right? You could even argue Pearl Harbor is a potential false flag, or not even a false flag, but
a let it happen scenario.
No, that is a false flag. Well, that is a let it happen. Yeah, sorry, I was thinking of something
well,
else.
we definitely, I believe we let that happen. When we kind of enforced embargoes on Japan, right, during this time, and kind of forced that we got involved economically. And how do you force an embargo anyway? How do you enforce these things without threat of military?
But again, these are the indirect actions, right? So, and I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying one could argue in this thought experiment, in context, one could argue, it's not even one could argue. You could present this part of the thought experiment, which is, can you argue that if America gets involved in World War II earlier, does Pearl Harbor ever happen? And does the war last as long as it does? Does Nazi Germany gain the power? You see what I'm saying? So that's the thought experiment, is by staying out of it, because we now know, especially in retrospect, and we did know then in real time, people are dying. So that's the trolley experiment, is by not pulling the lever, we're allowing a lot of people to die. But if we pull this lever, we're directly affecting these people dying. So either way, people are dying. That's the point. That's the decisions that go into war.
Right.
That's and I don't think there's ever a simple answer for it, because there's always a context, right? There's always, the water is always muddy. I guess that's what I'm getting at. It's never the way we like to do it in retrospect when we look at 9/11.
In this particular scenario versus the husband-wife beating thing, we don't know the exact outcome. We know that some people will die. We don't know that our actions will have less people dying, per se. We don't know that, So, because we did a lot of killing, too, more people can end up dying if we do get involved. Because then now we've drug out war even longer, instead of, for instance, not saying I'm against Ukraine or anything, but being there to help Ukraine in any kind of way draws out the fight, too, which can lead to more deaths as well, on both sides.
Yeah, that would be another version of it, is we were involved right away. We backed them with money and weapons. And that's really what we did. This idea,
we kind of instigated it.
This idea that we sent him $1 billion or whatever, we never sent him $1 billion. We sold him $1 billion worth of our old shit.
I think,
and we do this all the time.
For sure. I think there's more to it. I agree a majority of our assistance to them is that way, but there's still ways for them to still corruptly sell some of that shit, make money.
100%.
Matter of fact,
true.
if you Google it, there's didn't one of his right-hand men just recently get in trouble for it?
For sure. But when Zelensky tries to turn around and be like, we only got $200 million in cash. Yeah, that was the deal. Read the fucking fine print. Even I knew that going into it, and I barely read it.
For sure.
I skimmed it, and I went, oh, we're sending them all our old shit. Got it. Because that makes sense, because you got to do that. You got to, not only do we need to upgrade, but we have all this shit in storage. We got to get rid of it.
We refer to it as
we
a
used
value.
to sell it all to Israel.
We refer to it as dollars and aid.
Correct. Because that's what it is.
Because it did cost dollars to create that in the first place, and it cost dollars to recreate or restock ourselves as well.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Correct. 100% correct. And there's always something coming back. We don't just do this out of charity. So that aid came in the form of either a loan or rights to some sort of minerals or resources.
Which I think Trump really tried swinging that pretty.
Yeah, I think we did get a good mineral deal out of it. And you fucking goddamn right we should. That money is off the fucking backs of Americans.
Yeah, well, but then again it further entangles our relationship with that area, which.
But again, I think it's inevitable. That's my point. Is I'm not arguing with you or rationalizing or justifying anything we're doing. I think it's inevitable when people talk about fucking Trump's leading us into World War III. I'm like, dude. Biden was leading us into World War III. Hillary was going to lead us into World War III. It doesn't matter. Some of these things are inevitable, and you guys act like if we get the right person in the world in the White House, we will run the world.
Look at our sanctions on Russia. How long have our sanctions on Russia been going on? And we've constantly kind of like, oh, we're going to make him worse. Oh, it's not working, or we're going to make it worse. Well, what you do when you do too many sanctions is you create an independence for that country where they no longer are dependent on our dollar. It's the worst thing for diplomacy, to be honest with you. So it's totally backfired.
Well, and it's the weirdest, ironic version of American excellence or American superiority or American imperialism, right? Because what these people are doing inadvertently is they're saying if we have the right person in the White House, the rest of the world's opinions, wants, needs, and motivations are moot and irrelevant. As if the rest of the world doesn't have their own thing going on, their own aspirations, especially when you have 1 billion people in China. It's like, what the fuck are we talking about?
Are you going to tell me
that
any country anywhere near China isn't worried about China in the future? You know what I mean?
What the fuck, dude? It's like, because I genuinely believe all of this was inevitable. Now, again, I think there's certain paths we can take through there, but I think the end is inevitable. So I don't think it matters. I think we're going to World War III. I think that was in the cards 60 years ago. It was in the cards still 50, 40, 30 years ago. I don't think it mattered. I think everything is just an evolution of the thing that happened before.
I agree. So then we accept the fact that no matter what, it's going to happen. Maybe not in our lifetime. Maybe we push it a generation out or something. But so then we got to look. Okay, well now this is going to happen, and to find meaning in our lives, then we got to decide how we do that. So it's, to me, the meaning part comes into how we go about getting there. And like I said, I just don't want to be on the wrong side of these issues, and that's why I criticize Trump when he does something wrong, or no matter what president is, like, I will criticize when they do something wrong, because I honestly feel like if you don't do that, if you're a religious person, you gotta you get judged by God at some point in time, and if you just simply went along your whole life, I just don't think that you're a virtuous or moral person. You know what I mean?
And that's the scary thing, is you can be religious about anything, and that's where things get dangerous, right? Is because people have become religious about their political parties, they become religious about their belief in science. That whole follow the science shit.
Yeah.
Like that follow the science is not that's anti-science.
Exactly, yeah.
Like
when you use
science is question everything. Yeah. That's science. Yeah. Don't believe anything. Yeah. Like test it again, test it again,
prove it.
Test it again, prove it, test it again. Instead we got listen to the experts.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck was that? Even I don't even like science that much. But I believe in the scientific method, and that got thrown all the way out the window because people got religious about it. It's kind of fucking wild.
It serves a purpose because people will want to believe what they want to believe. And so as long as that you can get, if you're a politician, as long as you can get one guy to say something the crowd wants to hear, it doesn't matter if it's true or false. I mean, if you look at even like I love when people criticize government and when people criticize presidents and stuff like that, but I hate when it's always petty and desperate. So like going after Trump because of small hands or something, you know what I mean?
Oh,
like it's always
the low-hanging fruit.
It's always these weird little things that people post, and it's just like, why is this a score? This is like a score for you. Like this is some kind of point that you're scoring on. It's not. It means nothing.
Yeah, I know.
It's
exactly
so
what
weird.
You're talking about.
And we have a lot of friends in the music scene that post stupid ass shit like that, and it's just like. And I go through any of my posts and see me rip on Biden for messing up words. I never did that. And that would have been fair game because he was obviously losing his mind. But I tend to not go after the presidents for those kind of things.
Right.
I
didn't make fun of him when he would slip on words because I found out he had a stutter when he was a kid. But when he couldn't complete an entire fucking sentence, that was a different thing. because like I've had people in my family with Alzheimer's and dementia, and I know exactly what it looks like. And I remember telling my buddy Josh, I was like, dude, I don't even know if this guy can run. He's got dementia. And he came back because he's a diehard Blue guy. Mm-hmm. And he goes, dude, he doesn't have dementia. Trust me. I know what dementia looks like. It's like, so do I, dude.
But then they'll say that Trump
But then he definitely has dementia.
But did you see then Trump has dementia? Then
right, that was their line.
They went to that next thing, and it's like,
that's
you sound desperate, man.
Dude, that has been their MO for the last 4 years, is literal projection. Whatever their people are guilty of, just accuse Trump of that thing. So then when we're true of it, they can go, well, so is he. And it's so obvious, dude. Speaking of Trump, I wanted to talk to you about this, my new favorite conspiracy.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I know what you're going to get at, but just...
So my new favorite conspiracy is that Trump is actually secretly gay, and he blew Bill Clinton.
And that was one of the things I saw some of our friends posting, and thinking it was some kind of so win. Funny. It's like, it's literally people, it's two brothers emailing each other talking shit or something. You know what I mean? There's no real evidence that anything happened.
So where
if he did, I don't care, but it's just weird that that's a win for you is somehow.
So where the credibility comes from is his mentor. I think his name is Roy Cohn. Look this up. Who was Trump's mentor? I think his name was Roy Cohn.
Yep. And he was into some gay shit.
He not only was he into some gay shit, he was fucking creepy, dude. Like he's like, yeah, Roy Cohn. So there's like stories of this guy like eating food like this, like like he's like a lizard person and shit. Like
that's weird.
He was weird, and they had an uncannily close relationship. Like talking about they would talk on the phone 4 or 5 times a day, and this went on for a long time, and then gay TikTok picked up the Trump speeches and they like lip sync them as a gay guy. And bro, see if you can find this. You're gonna have to go to videos, but it's basically gay lip syncing Trump speech. Yes, that's it. Play this.
Oh, legend. Yeah. Oh.
Top left corner. Turn it up. No. Turn the scale up. Yeah. Dude, it is so fucking funny. So people have started to do this and go back and reanalyze a lot of the things he says. And here's the thing. I don't think it's true, but it's a legitimate real conspiracy theory, meaning it's not just made up, it's just propaganda, so to speak, right? Like there's actual stuff to put this thing together. And when you look at it through the right lens, it's extremely plausible, especially if you look at the women he's dated and married. They're all obnoxiously beautiful. They're not just beautiful.
So like a beard situation?
Yes. Like it's a status symbol. It's a trophy wife. It's not. You see what I'm getting at? I'm not saying it's true, but when you look at it through the right prism, you go, oh, this is totally plausible.
I could see where you could draw lines, but
it's totally plausible.
There's no reason why a billionaire, he's going to date beautiful women. That's just what billionaires do.
Right. It's totally plausible is all I'm saying.
And yeah, totally.
And I love it. I love it as much as I love the Big Mike conspiracy.
There's always a chance that that's true. I just feel like that to me it reeks of desperation though when I see all my friends post, oh, like, oh, we got him on an email where one brother is talking to another brother.
But here's the thing: on your guys' side, I thought being gay was cool.
For sure,
I thought it was all right.
For sure.
So now you got him.
Yeah, and now you're kind of being homophobic.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait a minute.
No,
I loved the Big Mike conspiracy because I just think it's hilarious, and to me, it's the exact same thing as imagining Donald Trump blowing Bill Clinton.
Oh, I know.
That to me is so funny.
I know a lot of conservatives who believe that Michelle Obama is a man.
Big Mike?
Yeah. I know a lot of people that seriously believe that shit.
I love that conspiracy. That was my favorite conspiracy theory. My new one is Trump is secretly gay and he blew Bill Clinton. It's not just that he's secretly gay. It's they had to add that extra little thing.
And it's weird too because,
which makes sense because he was a lifelong Democrat, best friends with the Clintons for 20 years, 30 years.
For
so
sure.
Again, everything has legs to this. Not saying it's true, but
yeah, for sure.
Usually you can debunk a conspiracy
immediately. There were guys that came out again and said that they had slept with Obama and shit. There was actual gay guys coming out and say that.
Dude, the Tucker Carlson interviewed him.
Yeah, and that was on for years before that I heard about that guy before.
Me too, yep. Which again adds legs to the Big Mike conspiracy because there's legs there. Like the Big Mike conspiracy, there's a reason. I'm not saying it's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's a woman. I think she's a woman. I genuinely think she's a woman. However, there's enough weirdness
with him that I think he might be a little bi.
And her history, her like magical appearance in the world, and the fact that there's a Michael. I'm just saying, there's legs to it. I'm not saying it's true.
To me, another thing is like, I do believe a lot of people had an Epstein connection. Obviously Trump had an Epstein connection. I think you're in a billionaire club that's very small. So like these people knew each other. They definitely were in the same social circles, whether they wanted to or not in certain ways. If you went to a certain private event from your friend, then Epstein might also be there too. So I can understand that. So I'm not immediately going to defend anybody about connections with Epstein. But the weird thing is like everybody's so gravitating towards like Trump being this pedophile, but yet no concern about anybody else being a pedophile. It's like so weird. Like, why didn't you care about anybody else? Why? It's only because it's Trump. And that's what gets me about it. It's like they're scoring some kind of win. It's like, all this Epstein stuff is going to bury a lot of your own side. If this stuff comes out, you're going to find out.
Well, and like you were talking earlier with the projection thing. Well, I said projection, but you were talking about it. Suddenly Trump gets into office. He's been in office less than 1 year. And this entire time they're like, why haven't you released the Epstein files?
Release it.
Why
do you care now?
Bitch, you had 4 years. Fucking years.
Yep.
And not one of you pressed to release the Epstein files. Not one of you.
Yep.
Not a single one of you.
Yep.
And then when everybody voted to release them, it was only your people. It was almost unanimous. And the only people who voted against it were Democrats.
And some of those people were texting Epstein during during the one time he was in trouble. So
the only reason I could see that you would ever argue not to release those files after all the hype and bullshit and shadiness is I think it was Mike Johnson that made the claim. And it's a legitimate claim. Like this is you gotta see the forest for the trees here. It is a dangerous thing to release these files when a lot of it is unsubstantiated.
Correct, yeah.
It is extremely dangerous. Like a lot of innocent people are going to get hurt by this just because somebody said something that was never proven. And that's one of the reasons I found out. That's one of the reasons a lot of things are redacted when files are released. It's because that's not substantiated. And there's names, there's addresses and shit. It's like if we release that to the public, like we'll get somebody fucking killed.
They'll say shit like certain celebrities, Tom Hanks was there. That doesn't mean he was involved in anything nefarious.
Exactly. And this is how the Pizzagate thing happened.
But
you get some guy shooting a fucking bullet in the floor.
At the same time, how dangerous is it for your society to also believe that they're being ruled by pedophiles?
That is a serious problem. And that's why you have to release it.
Yeah, you have to release something. You have to, and And you look at Kash Patel and stuff, the job that he's doing, and it's like he did come out strong with being like open about a lot of stuff, but he's just really quiet on a lot of this stuff lately, and it's like you can't jump in these games where like you're not releasing this stuff. Or you tell us that like Thomas Crooks, the guy that shot Trump's ear or whatever, that he had no online presence, but then we find out he had an online presence, you know?
Or he didn't have anything in his apartment.
Yeah, that's weird.
Or there was somebody from an FBI office that made multiple trips to his apartment the weeks leading up to the shooting.
Supposedly, yeah. And they said that like he didn't have any utensils in the apartment.
No,
like weird things like that.
That's
that
what
other
I meant when I said
touch.
nothing.
Yeah.
I meant nothing.
Yeah. No garbage, no utensils, no.
As if he was like something out of the Jason Bourne films, a foreign special forces, you know what I mean, sleeps on the floor without a blanket.
Or
type guy.
Or you're trying to scrub the apartment from anybody else's DNA being in that apartment.
That's obviously what happened.
Yeah.
I'm saying they're trying to present this idea that like, oh yeah, he just lived in this. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, he's not Jason Bourne. We saw him.
But it's interesting that, he had accounts for almost everything you could have accounts for online. And he made death threats to politicians and people left and right.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He's got YouTube comments like he would always be threatening to kill Democrats for the longest time. So that's what they said, that he was a MAGA guy. And he was a MAGA guy basically all the way up until COVID. Once something happened during COVID that he switched. And then he started to want to kill conservatives. The death threats started to change towards conservatives. Not sure what what caused that to happen, but
so he
was making online death threats. And you're going to try to tell me that none of those were reported? To me, I think that's part of the cover-up is the fact that he probably was on their radar, like a lot of times.
So it sounds like he's just a bandwagon jumper. Whoever's in control, the other guys are the bad guy.
Maybe.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Because
if you're a mega guy until COVID,
but it's kind of weird too, because then he at the same time was kind of racist, in some of the shit that he was saying when he was
right. So it's just
so now how did you become not a racist as soon as Trump was in office? Unless I mean,
because like, he shot Trump before Trump was in office the second time.
Right?
Yeah. So he's just whoever's in power, he's on that side.
I don't know.
That's what it sounded. If he's MAGA while Trump's in office in 2016 to 2020, and then he flips.
He was conservative. Well, because he was young still, so he didn't really have that time to do too much flipping and flopping. But it sounded like he was a conservative, making death threats against.
What do you know about the Charlie Kirk kid? Because this one's getting weirder and weirder.
Yeah, no, this is weird. This is another thing that they're not transparent on. Weird shit. I mean, you show us a picture of a gun, supposedly disassembled, but it's together in this picture and all this stuff. And it's like, why are you showing us this? This is not. I'm not saying that the kid didn't do it. I think he definitely was involved. This kid, because he turned himself in, supposedly, right? Why would you turn?
No, I thought he got caught.
No, he got away from the scene. He even hung around the scene to go get his car back. While law enforcement was there and shit.
Oh yeah,
he got away. It wasn't until I think a family friend. No, the father. The father recognized the kid and said, "That's my kid." And then he consulted a pastor or something, and then they arranged for the kid to get turned in.
Yeah.
To turn himself in, which that video has disappeared. So when the act of him turning himself into the jail or the cops' police station, that all that got lost, which is something, if you're a defender of him, you'd want to have to show.
It's magic.
You would want to show that, hey,
keep talking.
Yeah, you'd want to show that he turned himself in. He's not a flight risk. He's not, that kind of crap, But I don't know. They don't seem to have been keeping very transparent on this case at all. Because what have we heard? We haven't heard anything. No new elements of any details, nothing. There's been nothing from him saying anything. No, I don't even think there's been a statement by his attorney, nothing. I think Candace Owens might be a little overboard on her theories. I don't know if you've seen any of them. I think that's part of what she is leaning to, because there was like supposedly like Egyptian planes there landing nearby at the time and stuff, and I'm not quite understanding all of it, but what do you mean? Like is she tying this all back to like Zionism or something? Her theory is that almost everybody is involved in some way, like even Charlie Kirk's team. Like the security didn't do their job right, so there might be something there. Turning Point USA might be involved in somehow because there was $8.2 million missing off the books or redirected somehow financially. That looks kind of shady because you can look up all this financial data. So she's thinking that it's a multifaceted issue.
I wonder if she's losing her mind, though, because she also is posting that the Macrons have taken out hits on her now.
Correct. So here's my thing.
So either she's 100% correct and she stumbled onto something, or she's starting to lose her mind.
So
she's so pretty, though.
It'll
suck if she loses her mind, because she's gorgeous.
She's gonna. What I say she's doing is she's going through the Alex Jones thing. Because, when Alex Jones was a young guy starting off on, like, public access and stuff like that, there were times where he sounded very overboard, but he was right about a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, he called all this stuff long before. Even now we got Real ID. You know what I mean? He was calling for that back. When Clinton was in office, he was saying that they were trying to force that on us.
Yeah.
And now here it is now.
Alex Jones has been right about literally everything except Sandy Hook.
Right. Well, there's been a couple things that he's kind of predicted that...
The turning the frogs gay?
No, that was
true.
right. That was right. Yeah. It was just stated in a weird way that wasn't exactly correct. Because it was
he predicted 9/11.
Yep. He predicted. Yep.
Eerily accurate.
Yep. So, but the thing is when you're that type of person and you become famous and you're right, you start to kind of believe you're right all the time.
Then you can be fed disinformation.
And then you're fed disinformation, and then all of a sudden you're now being controlled. And I honestly do believe...
Or you look crazy.
Yeah, and I think there's been times...
That's what Sandy Hook was, by the way. Do you agree with that? Because
What's that?
So my belief is he was doing his thing, and then he was fed Sandy Hook, so he would lose credibility.
I don't know if
they could ruin him financially. They could ruin him.
I don't know if that was intent.
Credibility-wise.
I don't know if that was the intent, but there were people that were calling his station, telling him that they saw shit, that would make him question Sandy Hook, And there were some weird moments where like, yeah, it is kind of weird. So I can understand why you question
and
something.
Didn't it happen at almost the same time as, was it Virginia Tech, where the news reported a shooting at either a high school or a college? That's why I keep saying Virginia Tech. And it was a drill for a shooter, but the news picked it up and reported it as an actual event. And I'm pretty sure Sandy Hook happened at essentially the same time as that.
Within a close by vicinity.
Yeah, within a reasonable amount of time.
There was a lot of those weird things that made people question stuff. And you know what the real problem was? How closed they were about the Sandy Hook stuff. Which we do in this country, and I think I don't know if it's a state by state thing, but like if there's young victims, we totally block out their names, so you don't know who they are. Like that's all like kept closed. The files are sealed.
Yeah,
and then whenever you do that, and then you just now invited all the conspiracies because you got no evidence that it really happened that we can look at, and so if you are a conspiracy minded person, you're gonna
correct. Because this is pre-YouTube still. Sandy Hook is pre-YouTube. Unlike
I know YouTube was there for Sandy.
Yeah, but it wasn't like what it is now. Is what I mean. Like it was still cat videos and
I don't know because that's Alex Jones Infowars was super big at that time and that was on YouTube and stuff.
It's not the same because the video phones weren't a thing yet. They existed, but it wasn't like high res. People like now when anything happens, everybody pulls out their phone.
For sure. Yep.
Back then, Back then, it was like one person had the wherewithal and the mindset to pull out and document. So there's just less of it because the YouTube culture was not what it is now. There's just no way around that. But I think also,
I don't think I don't think it was a disinfo campaign per se, like you said, to be that possibility that he's fed information. I think he was fed information by people that are loonies. But I think the government.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I think the government knows that I think the government later used Sandy Hook to have this absurd case against him, though. I mean, there was a $1.2 billion.
I think it's the exact opposite. I think it's the exact opposite. I think he was fed the information by the government.
But see, the court cases.
But then the families and the private side sued him, and I think the government knew that was a possibility, and they nudged that second part along.
Well, I think the government used the Sandy Hook families in order to shut Alex Jones up because it was so long from Sandy Hook that this happened.
We're ending at the same conclusion. We're just arguing about the path that got there. Yeah, and I think both of these theories are equally plausible.
And so I just think Candace is now in that stuff where she's been right about some crazy-ass shit. She's been right.
Do you think the Macron thing is real?
Is a possibility.
It seems like it's real.
It's a possibility. And the reason why I say that it's a possibility is because this is already being investigated over there. So it's like 3 journalists have already been in this situation.
Let me put it this way. If this is a criminal court, we all know the phrase, beyond a reasonable doubt, at least here in America, right?
For a crime, yeah.
Right, criminal court. Mm-hmm. But in civil court, all I have to be convinced is...
damages.
Is no. This is the when you go to a civil jury, anyways.
Yep.
I only have to be 50.0000000000001% sure. That's it. Just anything over 50. The smallest little nudge, and what I'm saying is, if this is a criminal court, she's a woman. If this is a civil court, she's a man. That's what I'm saying, because I have looked into that Macron shit. I haven't deep dived at like the ones I'm in love with, like the 9/11s, the moon landings, the fun ones, the JFKs, the historical ones. But that Macron one, again, civil trial, she's a man. Criminal trial, she's a woman.
Candace points out a lot of like the books in the background of his pictures of he's in his own office, kind of like the Oval Office. Like there was the books that they chose to put on display in the background and stuff. They are written by some weird pedophile.
It's weird.
Shit, there's a lot of weird stuff going on. But objectively, that is not objective fact or anything like that.
Again,
it just looks weird.
This is the difference between the civil trial and the fucking
but what
and the
we
criminal
do
trial.
know as fact is the age difference between the two when they were dating, because he was 14 or something like that, or something. I think he was 14 and she was an adult.
Isn't it interesting how we don't feel bad if a 15-year-old boy fucks a 24-year-old teacher? We're like, fucking nice, bro.
Yeah,
especially if she's hot.
When we were kids,
especially when they're hot, we're like, fucking great, good for you, bro. But if a 24-year-old male teacher fucks a 15-year-old girl, we are like, yo.
It is weird, yep.
Yo. So my buddy, and I'm going to let him remain nameless, because I think this is a super fucked up position to have. He goes, yeah, we shouldn't do that. And I'm like, why? And he goes, because you're basically saying girls and women don't have the same agency as boys and men. And I'm like, at that age, they definitely don't. Like yes, both 15-year-olds can and probably will fall in love. Yes, I understand that. But what I'm saying is that boy is dramatically less likely to have his entire life and mental state fucked up versus that girl. And if you don't believe that, you either haven't slept with enough women or you don't have enough females in your family, because I know that's true. I can feel it in my bones, dude. And I'm pretty sure I can back it up with science. So again, follow the science, bro. Because he's kind of a lefty. I shouldn't say kind of lefty. He's a full-blown lefty, whether he'll ever admit. He does have a lot of conservative beliefs.
But the thing is,
he's still a lefty.
We kind of do that all the time where in certain circumstances, we have different agency for different people.
Yes, that's the point. That's the point.
We all kind of do that.
We also have different agency for a 12-year-old boy versus a 16-year-old boy versus a 20-year-old boy.
And we also do it
20-year-old man.
We also do it for elderly people. You're taking advantage of the elderly person. This person has been on the planet longer than all of us. They should be wise enough to do it, but we're taking their agency.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. And there's cultural boundaries, right? So like we used to really respect our elders. Now, and you might be a better judge when the threshold was crossed. But now it seems like we look down on them. I think we get annoyed by them. They're a burden to us now.
I think
we don't listen to them anymore.
I think the tipping point changed.
I know what it was.
As soon as the grandparents were no longer helping raise children.
Okay. Smart. Yep.
Another part would be the fact that I lost my train of thought here.
The grandparents stop raising the children.
Yep, that's one of them. The fact that that I think too that we don't even take care of our old folks. We have no relationship with our old folks now. Is another one.
That's the effect. I'm wondering the cause, but yeah, keep going. Yep.
I'll think of it.
So the grandparents stopped imparting wisdom and helping raise the grandchildren, and honestly, what happened is the grandparents stopped imparting wisdom on the parents to help the parents with the children. I think tech. I think when computers and then
the
digital. Because now you don't understand the world I grew up in anymore. It was different.
That's a good point.
It was different in 1940. Cars were a thing. Electricity was a thing. But the world was fundamentally the same exactly as it was in 1890 as it was in 1830.
Yeah. What I was going to say too is not only just because not even that the fact that the grandparents used to help raise the kid, but now, the environment is changed.
Yep.
Kids are in a different environment now. I'm a boomer. I feel like a boomer sometimes when I can't figure out something technology-wise, and I think I'm pretty hip on what's going on.
Right,
So I could see why.
Yeah, it changes so fast, but it changed for them. Because I think the difference is, okay, so when you and I were little kids, we would still get legit nuggets of wisdom and life experience because our grandparents and great-grandparents were part of the Industrial Revolution. So they'll tell us, well, I remember when this technology first came in. So, like, to put it in context, I'm very burpy tonight. The greatest example I heard of was video games had come in. Oh, that's going to rot your brain, blah, 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 blah. And there was a couple cool grandparents I had that said, just everything's fine in moderation. They said the same thing about TV. Yeah. And I remember my grandparents saying, everything's fine in moderation. They said the same thing about radio. And their grandparents said, it's fine. They said the same thing about the trains, right? Oh, it's making us soft. You can go back and you can read articles that were written in like 1840 where they were like, you can live in London now and live an entire life getting food brought to you without ever leaving your apartment.
Yeah.
This is the downfall of the world because I think we're getting soft because we're no longer connecting with nature. And it's like, dude, that's the exact same argument people are making in 2025, almost 200 years later. It's insane.
For sure.
So the thing is, everything is changing, nothing has changed.
And the thing is, I think they're right.
Exactly.
It's just when the doom comes, the final doom.
But there's people
happens.
Nowadays that have YouTube channels that inspire hundreds of thousands of people to go camping and build their own. So it's I don't know, man. Like I just kind of figure.
No, I think you made a good observation there because I say this all the time too. Where like it's like. There are people now that are drawing attention. Some of this technology can be bad, even AI or whatever, but at the same time, AI can still inspire tons of people to come up with something. You know what I mean?
That's why I don't have fear with the AI because every argument people are making about AI right now is the same argument people made about manufacturing, and it was the same argument they made about assembly lines, which Here's the credible side of it. It will funnel more money to the top. Here's the fallacy, is that it's going to eliminate jobs.
Yeah, I don't think it will. No.
Theoretically.
It'll eliminate certain types of jobs, but
Correct.
they change.
Correct.
Jobs changes. And,
Correct. And theoretically.
Because we're not out there in the fields right now.
And theoretically,
so
as this technology evolves, it will actually create more jobs. Because when automation happened and machinery happened, yes, I don't need 4 guys to run this part anymore. I only need 2.
Yep.
However, now there's 17 engineers, 100 maintenance techs, and they work on the machine.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that machine doesn't break down as often, but there's 1,000 of them.
And there'll be people working on AI the same way. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree.
And I don't think I'm even being optimistic. I think I'm being very, going back to that producer mindset, unbiased, pragmatic. Like, and you
pragmatic was the word I was looking for so much earlier in this.
Like, you absolutely will still need, what in tech they call it the human in the loop. So you're still going to need a person to babysit the AI. You're still going to need a person to watch the AI, look at its code. Like, because we're never, honestly, human beings are way too paranoid to give it full sentience. Like, we're going to, because it's not real. AI, first of all, all these, these large language models, all of them, every single one of them is just an evolution of predictive text.
Mm-hmm.
When you and I had that you press fucking
correct, yep.
This key 3 times to get that, and then the next generation of phones it guessed the letter, and then it guessed the word.
I don't know how much do you play with AI?
A lot
now, because like I use it pretty much daily.
It's not AI. It's not real.
Right, but we're gonna label it for just to keep a conversation simple.
Yeah,
as
but they're
AI
large language
right now.
models. It's a totally different concept.
Right, but eventually we are with quantum computing and all this stuff. It will be indistinguishable regardless, because it'll be predictive stuff is kind of how our brains work anyway. We learn through repetition and seeing things that happen, from outcomes. I know if I do this, this happens, and so forth, and that's a part of learning. So, at some point in technology, it's going to be indistinguishable. But I'm still super impressed if my friend says something funny, and I'll go and generate an image based off something they said, and I'm impressed sometimes with the outcome of that thing, and I got it in a split second.
Yeah,
it's like it had to make so many decisions for this picture.
Right.
Details.
The only thing. So I think there's 2. Hold on.
I'm just impressed with where it's at right now.
It's not creating or doing anything. All it's doing is sourcing everything we do. So it will the problem will be this.
In a way,
when everybody only uses AI and no new original ideas are being put forward. But again, I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
I think immediately people, because I'm already burnt out. I used to spend an hour on my phone's doom scrolling. Now within 5 minutes, I'm like AI. I'm like, oh, this sucks, and I'm off. I don't think it's a sustainable model. Because Will is 21 years old.
I don't know, man. I'm
very young. My little brother's 25 years old, and they say the same thing. Literally half his generation doesn't even do social media because it's all, what's our phrase? Everything's fake and gay. Literally.
But the weird thing is, no, their shit has changed to like Snapchat and shit like that. Like, I don't understand Snapchat because it's like I'm sending you a picture every time I need to talk and send you a message, and it's like that seems like a waste of bandwidth to say a message. You know what I mean? Because you're sending an image at the same time that's a lot of times not even of anything.
Right.
It's just it's weird.
It is weird. It's dumb.
Yeah, kids. I don't know. I think.
That's the only one people are on.
I honestly do believe
Snapchat and Instagram.
I honestly do fear what's to come with AI. I just don't think it's going to be exactly a complete negative thing. I think it'll be just as negative as anything else and just as positive as anything else. And there could be some serious, massive consequences. I mean, think about it, the internet, how useful it is to have all this information at your fingertips. But at the same time, that's dangerous in some people's hands. If they can look up how to make weapons of mass destruction and cause damage, obviously that's going to have a detrimental effect to some people, right?
Well, and even when new things are created, like streaming, Netflix, right? That destroyed 2 versions of the entertainment industry, but then also kind of built up the other one. So they killed the movie industry indirectly by killing the movie rental business directly. So they killed the movie rental business
Theater
directly.
business doesn't seem too hot.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So they directly made an attack on the rental business because they just saw a market. They were like, dude, we can do this better. And that crumbled Blockbuster and the whole industry. And then indirectly, because Blockbuster was like, well, fuck you, we're going to do the same thing. And we got weight behind us, and we're going to do one better than you can do. We're going to allow you to return those DVDs to your local Best Buy store, and as soon as we scan them the next morning, which is faster than your post office, we send out the next one. And we use our Blockbuster stores as a mailing hub so we can get them to you faster because we're mailing them locally. So boom, we got you fuckers. And I was like, yo, Blockbuster is going to win this fucking war. This is right at the beginning. I was on the cutting edge of this. And I was like, Blockbuster is going to crush these motherfuckers because it's way more convenient now. Because the problem with the Netflix thing at the beginning was I have to put this in the mail. It has to get all the way back to you, and then you have to send it all the way back. It was like a week to a 2-week turnaround.
Yep.
In Blockbuster, I was getting them back in 3 days. It was a game changer. And then Netflix invented streaming to your computer only, but it was streaming. And they just like bought an old library of shit. And
Smart TVs. Yeah.
And I could just, it wasn't even smart TVs.
But I mean, that transferred
yeah, dude.
to another.
Oh my God,
medium.
dude. And I could sit there on my computer because this is still in the age where people sat at their computers for everything. You sat at your computer for Facebook. There was no mobile device, anything. Like we texted on phones. And bro, it was amazing. And Blockbuster, even though they quickly adapted, they couldn't gobble up content as fast. And Netflix just put them out of business. And then everybody else jumped in.
You needed medium. Like you needed the actual tapes and shit. That has to move all around the country.
Oh, that's what it was.
Can be, you know?
No, that's what it was. Is TVs. Netflix figured out how to stream to phones first. Blockbuster never. If they did get streaming to phones, it was at the very end and it was way too late. Netflix just dominated the market. Because I remember Netflix, you could stream to an iPhone, and then eventually you could stream to Android. And once you could stream to an Android phone, and I could watch Netflix on my phone, it was like, yo, it's done. And then Netflix got their entire library also digital. So there was no need for, you could still get DVDs, but you didn't need them anymore. Bro, within a few years, the movie industry collapsed. But what industry they built up without realizing it is they built up TV, right? So now everything's TV shows, right? The best shit out there are TV shows. And people are barely interested in movies anymore. Yeah. But you get a banger. Like, what's that meme? Hey, man, do you want to watch a 10-hour movie? And you're like, fuck no. How about I chop it up into 1-hour chunks and we watch it all at once? And you're like, son of a bitch, I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But and that's all it is. It's a 3 hour. It's 3-3-hour movies chopped up into 10 chunks, and we eat it up. Because now I can do it in the comfort of my own home and make my own popcorn. Well, so we killed the movie industry and built up the TV.
And think about how
everything's TV shows.
Music recording changed. You know, technology. Now we have amp modeling stuff, and you know we can record ourselves. Some people can do a relatively decent self demo these days. You know, and I think with AI is going to be the same thing. If one of the things I've always wanted to do is write a book, you know, like, cause I was inspired by shit like Lord of the Rings and stuff. And I've always wanted to do something like that. You know, I wanted to do music. There were 2 things I really wanted to do is write music and write books.
Me too.
And now,
or movies or stories.
Yeah.
Write stories.
And now I can illustrate my own shit with, you know, I've always been able to draw and stuff like that, but it's never been a passion. And nor do I want to invest the time into doing that. But yeah, now I could illustrate my own shit and get it out sooner. Like, people could totally do that. The ease of not having to have as many people in the process, because now you can self-publish or use an online publisher or something. You don't actually have to go through the, you know, getting book signing or getting signed to do books and shit like that. You can just start releasing shit on your own. You can do all that stuff now, technologies.
Yeah.
And AI is just still going to help with that.
Yeah, and so do you know have I told you my theory about what AI will do to music?
You might have.
I've said it on the podcast a bunch, so I don't want to repeat it again for the same people, but I will, because I think it's maybe, it might be the single most profound, like, future telling thing. Like, if I was ever going to go all in on an idea, I'm going all in on this. I think it's going to kill EDM. I think it's really going to hurt hip hop, or it'll change hip hop. It might kill pop music entirely because there's no substance and soul to it, and it's all about the dancing and the bullshit. That'll turn into like show tunes, right? Like I think it'll kind of like go the way of that. And I think it's actually going to re-prop up rock and metal music back to the top, because his generation and younger, everything's going to be AI. Everybody can write a banger to sound like so-and-so. Mm-hmm. So the only thing that'll matter is,
live music.
But can you get back up on stage and actually play those instruments and actually play those parts? Because we don't even, like, our generation, before we were musicians, when we were teenagers, we lost respect for lip syncing because of the Backstreet Boys and all that pop shit. Remember this? Not me and you specifically,
right.
But our generation was like, dude, if you're lip syncing, fuck you. And so starting in, like, I don't know, 2003, 2004, like, that became a bragging right. No lip syncing. Remember this?
Oh yeah, for sure.
It was a direct transition. So I think that's going to happen with AI. Is like people got to know it, and they got to feel it. They got to believe it.
Yeah, I think the live show will probably be more in demand. I think it'll be a good tool.
Yeah, people will use it, but
yeah,
but can you get up there and play it?
I know, like, I could be...
Which will prevent you from doing Yngwie Malmsteen on every song.
I could understand, like, let's say you're in the middle of it and you got a mix, and you're like, God, that bass isn't coming through the mix the right way in that spot, especially when we all hit this note together or whatever it is.
I never thought about
and
using
you could AI could fix that shit.
Well, of course it can, but, like, I never thought about, like, doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Like, hey, fix this bass tone. Fix this mix.
Or give me 10 different versions of a bass tone so I could find the bass tone that I want to dial in. How does my...
And then give me the EQ settings you did so then I can tweak it from there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think that'll be the big...
Dude, see, that's the shit I'm talking about. Yeah. So I never even thought about that. That's a great idea, dude.
Yeah. And I think... Because to be honest with you, like that, I've always tone chased. I've always tried to figure out...
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted a tone that was good for everything, and really there isn't a tone that's perfect for everything. But I want to have something that's got some attack and some, so you can really do some rock energy stuff. But I always loved hip hop, so I always loved low bass too. So I always crank bass. So I've always been trying to find that perfect balance, and it's just never been completely happy with it. I mean, I like my tone compared to what it was maybe 10 years ago. What do you use for your tone? I like my...
you use a Sans amp, right?
Sans amp. Part of it, yep.
Because you just plugged into my rig when you came down here and jammed.
Yep. And that's always weird to me. But sometimes it's funny because I'll just plug into something and I'll like what I hear right off the bat. I'm like, damn, why can't I get my shit to sound like that? I haven't even touched anything. But that's just kind of like...
That's sometimes the speakers, dude. That's the whole rig, right? Like the speakers, the cab,
the amperage,
how many speakers there are, the size of the speakers. There's a huge difference between the 410 and the 115 versus a lot of guys. I hate it when a guy shows up with just a single 15.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
like, dude, but you're pushing the frequencies, but you're not cutting through the mix at that point.
Well, back in the day, it was 15s and 10s and 18s and weird stuff that like the 70s bass players had.
That's right.
There's some weird stuff. Like, and, you listen to some of that stuff, and it's like, I hate that bass tone, but it works for the style of music. It's a part of the signature or whatever. But yeah, no, I don't know. So I could use it.
I like the 810 sound.
Yeah, I like the 810.
Because it's not about volume.
The rig I have, I use playing out, I use the 810, but at my house, I have two 12s and four 10s. And those two 12s are pretty interesting because they're angled.
Sure.
They're angled. And so depending on where I was standing in my room playing, and I was like, this sounds so damn good. I can't wait to get that shit out.
Yeah, because it's all really just about how many inches of air you're pushing. You know what I mean? And then you can hit certain frequencies with certain speaker sizes. But I don't know. When you want to go with a big speaker, like just get a sub at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's why I'm not a fan of the 15. It just takes up so much space in a cab that you could fit 410s and push 40 inches of air versus the 15.
Yeah, I mean, when I I also do DJ for events and shit, and those subs, all that's coming out of that's bass.
That's what I'm saying.
And
yeah,
it's you put your ear next to it, and it's like it sounds like ass by itself. But man, does it really gets that room going?
Well, and that's kind of the beautiful part about it, right? Is like when you have the right speakers and you have them in the right place, especially if you have the right amount of speakers. It's not about volume; it's about sound coverage and it's about sonic frequency, right? So, like that's the beautiful thing about a sub. You can have it at a very low volume, but it provides a frequency, and there's no crossover. So there's none of the trouble.
Well,
coming
these
through.
Nowadays
else.
it's a natural crossover, like it's a digitally programmed crossover. Yeah.
Or is it a crossover or a lack of a crossover? I always fucking.
Well, the crossover, like my understanding,
I always fuck this up.
A crossover.
My brain does this. I will reverse.
A crossover
things.
will send frequencies to the right.
The correct ones,
correct areas,
yeah.
yeah.
So,
but now with these new processors, it's taking only what it needs.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Stuff,
So it's a lock. It's a lack. That's okay. You're correct.
It's not technically a crossover. It's doing the same.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But it's a lack of a crossover because it's only sending these frequencies to it. Correct. Yeah. And that's. It's just so much. DSP. It's just so much easier to do it that way versus trying to let's add some more 15s because we want to get that frequency at this volume. It's like, dude, just fucking, at that point, just add a fucking sub. You know, because you're pushing less air while taking up the same amount of space. For every 15, you could have a 410. That's pretty much how it works. I mean, maybe not literally. Maybe a 410 is a little bigger than a 15, but
surface area wise, yeah, I think.
But usually, in order to get a 15 to resonate properly, you still have to have a pretty big cab behind it.
Yeah, well, see, the bigger the speaker is, the less I think you can get out of speed. Like if you're playing fast, that speaker doesn't move as fast as the lower speakers do back and forth, from what I understand, you know. So it's hard to get the clarity out of if you're just playing through 115 or 118, you can't be as intricate with your playing.
Whereas the actual in the room, the frequencies you can hear, the reason I like the 810 is because you're going to push a lot of air, so you're going to feel it. But we're pushing all the frequencies, and in a 10-inch speaker, with a lot of them, with 8 of them, we can push everything we need.
I'm completely ignorant about speakers, though. I couldn't tell you how it works or why it works, but I have an idea.
The simple philosophy is that the bigger speaker is allowed to push a lower frequency. But
unless on the higher frequencies, and so
once you're trying to go, and the whole point of a 15 with the 410 is that the 410 pushes the higher frequencies and the 15 pushes the lower frequencies. Yeah, but
I think you can make it work.
Actually, and you can definitely make it work. But what the human can actually hear in the room, there's a minimal, if not unnoticeable difference. And I will A/B this. And I will win this battle almost every time.
I would like to, I'm getting old and my hearing isn't the same as it used to be, but I would like to do some A/B testing on that, because that would be interesting, because none of us are rich enough to sit there and have a good comparison. You know what I mean?
So I bought a YouTube channel name for this, and it's a great name. And what I want to do is I have a buddy. He's a fan of the channel. Shout out to Cloth. He has a warehouse of gear, cabs, snare drums, everything. And what he doesn't have, we collectively have in town. And that's what I want to do, is A/B stuff. Test stuff out, bring guys in, like bring a drummer in to test a snare drum. Not a whole drum kit, but just a snare drum, and like tune it a couple different ways, A/B it with something else.
Because I'm not
and do exactly this. Take a Mark bass 810 with the neodymium magnets and these specific speakers, and then take the same Mark bass 410 with a 15, same Sans amp head, and A/B them.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that necessarily, even though I have played on 810s for 20 plus years or whatever, I'm not convinced that necessarily is the best. I mean, I think you can get a 15
It's my preferred.
Depending on how it's...
I don't think it's the best. It's my preferred.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
I think if you're looking for really tight bass, and like a lot of the new stuff, like a lot of the new music, especially like this, not this gent, but this next level of gent or whatever it is. What is it? What do we got?
I don't know what do you guys calling this thing? What do you call it? Talking to the mic, bitch. Yeah, but what do you guys call it? What's the name of the new genre? Yeah, what's the new shit? Is that what you guys are calling it? Google it. Then.
I don't know what it is. I don't know, but it's like the bass.
You're supposed to have your finger on the pulse of society.
The bass is all mid. You know what I mean? Like you're getting treble.
You barely hear it.
It's like it's a
until you hook up a sub. There's a sonic frequency they added in there.
Yeah, and I see bands online that don't even have a bass player, and I'm like, what the hell? You can't just have two 7-string guitars or 8-string guitars and think you don't need a bass player. It doesn't work that way.
I mean, technically, they can do whatever they want, right?
For sure. But like,
Royal Blood doesn't even have a guitar player, so.
But like,
if you're writing bangers, do whatever the fuck you want.
Thal?
Is that what they're calling it? Thal? That's the gayest thing I've ever heard. That's worse than nu metal. And I thought gent was bad. But Thal, man, your generation is gay. You guys are fucking dumb.
But like, yeah, I mean, I see
either that or I'm officially old. Like, I know I've been getting old for a while, but that Thal, really? Like, dude, come on. Dude.
But it's almost like,
I'm either elderly or y'all are
we
gay.
did go I can't complain because we did go with this through like the new metal. When Korn came out, everybody was playing Ibanez.
But new metal as a name made sense. It was a new version of metal with drop tuning and hip hop in it. Because remember, it was called rap metal when Faith No More did it, and even at
Anthrax and weird shit. Yeah,
even at the very beginning, Limp Bizkit was still called rap metal. But that whole thing, because suddenly it was Seven Dust, Slipknot, Korn, Deftones, they all became a thing. So then that relabeled itself as new metal. And then because Korn, they spelt it N-U because they were dumb. But I'm just saying that was way more organic. That made sense logically. Like there's a direct understanding.
Right, but maybe because bass, now all the lower frequencies were embraced under new metal, that we have a rejection of those low. I mean, guitar players are still playing pretty low. But
it's almost talking like shit about the name of the genre.
But like, the Dingwall bass players, Dingwall's the new Ibanez Sound Gear series for people now. And Dingwall is the bass brand. Have you not seen that?
Homie, if you're playing something called Dingwall.
Oh no, dude, this is like the most popular bass right now is like the Dingwalls. And they're not cheap either.
Bro, get the fuck out of here.
But all them guys want to play those things.
Get the fuck out of here. I ain't putting nothing on my fucking rack that says Dingwall.
I guess they have like the best low B, I guess.
It might look good hanging on your wall, but you don't want to get any dings in it.
Oh my god, that hurt. That hurt. Yeah. Oh, that's terrible.
I'm just saying it's a negative word association.
But no, that's the new Ibanez is Dingwall now.
Yay.
So, and yeah, they play that kind of style where it's like.
Are they dope though? Are they super nice basses?
I've never played one.
It looks like they have the intonated frets or whatever you call that.
Yeah,
are they
fan
scout
frets? Yeah.
Well, no, they don't. Are they fanned frets or are they just? God, I forget. So fanned
multi-scale electric.
Scroll down to the whole neck. I want to see the entire neck. Will, the top middle one.
Up.
The top middle one, buddy.
Right there.
Yeah, there you go. So scroll back up. Yep.
So some frets
keep
go
doing
one
what
way.
You're doing. Yeah. So that is a fanned neck. So for the listeners that don't know what the fuck we're talking about, the frets change. They're not all at 90 degrees to the neck.
Yep, and not all the strings are to the same length per se either.
Correct. And what that does is it provides
a better intonation.
Intonation up and down the neck. Yeah.
So you get more accurate. But I guess
actually it's not allegedly. It's straight up physics. It's straight up science.
Tight low B is, I guess, the shit to have.
It's physics, but it's engineering.
Which
is
I would like to try one of those out, but
yeah. So that's my question. It
seems like nobody wants to play like low bass anymore.
So here's what my question is. Right. So scroll up. I just want to. So no. I mean, yeah. Okay, stop. So $3,600. Okay.
Oh yeah, they go for a lot.
So what I want to know is where is the $3,600? Because I know for a fact that wood costs a fortune, especially if you're sitting on it and curing it. You have warehouse costs and heating costs and dehumidifier costs.
Third pickup in there.
Then you also have the craftsmanship, whether it's handmade or it's CNC'd, becomes and it has to be CNC'd if it's fan frets. It has to be, dude. There's no way you could possibly do this credibly by hand in an efficient way. So those grooves where those frets are going, definitely CNC'd. So that machinery costs a lot of money.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt the cost.
So I wonder if, and you said there's 3 pickups. Go to that next picture. Scroll down just a touch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pots and a switch. What is that next to the? That's a switch.
The switch might be an active passive switch.
Active passive, or turning one of the pickups on or off. Maybe turning the middle one off altogether. Who knows? We could keep deep diving this, but that's not what this podcast is. But the question is like all that shit costs money, including for example, one thing they did not spend money on is the look of the wood. That might be real. I don't know what that body was. It could be mahogany, ash, maple, whatever. But what I know for a fact is it's not an A-top, right? Because they painted it. So again, all these things are built into the cut. So I don't like the way it looks. Listen, motherfucker. You don't like the way it looks, but that's because you want it to look prettier, you're going to add another $700, $800,
well, dude,
$900.
honestly,
because what they did is they put all this money into all this other shit. So it's dope. It's fucking dope. Stop bitching about the way the guitar looks. If it plays well, if you like how it sounds,
I think there are a lot of ugly basses out there that will grow on people. Like, I don't think all Fenders look great, but they've grown on me. I have a Fender now, and I thought Ibanez's always looked cool.
Too many guys do this shit, dude. I want a red guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, dude, but that red guitar plays like shit. You don't sound great on it, and it doesn't even sound good for
I don't know.
what we're doing
I heard
as a band.
I heard the color brings out different intonations.
Yeah, but it looks cool on stage. I get it, dude. But like, then buy a good guitar that happens to be red. You know what I mean? But oh, dude, I only have $800. Then you're doing this for the wrong reasons, homeboy.
It's amazing what you can spend doing this shit.
I think black and red guitars are the worst guitars you could possibly put on stage, anyways. You know why?
Lights don't shine on them really good. Anyway.
Well, they shine great on them, but all your fingerprints and sweat also shine great on them.
On
and they
black,
look,
for
and
sure,
they,
yeah.
And they look disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So unless it's like perfectly polished and you're playing it for a song or two, and then you switch guitars again because you have that kind of budget, black or red guitars on stage typically, and hanging on the wall. If you have lights on them, they're the Guitar Center memories are flooding back.
Yeah, I mean, I see like even in like musicians on selling these AI apps and stuff, like say, how did I write this? And then they had AI write.
Oh, Suno.
Yeah, have
before Suno, after Suno.
Yeah, like have them come up with a basic idea and they just enhance it, you know, or vice versa. You know, you could say, this is what I came up with, make it sound better. I think in a way it'll inspire some people. In a way it'll be cheating, but in a way it'll inspire music too, I think.
I think it's also going to be a huge boost to live streaming on Twitch and YouTube, because I think that's another thing is like the actual writing and rehearsal of music and proving you did it without AI will also gain an incredible amount of integrity. And you won't even have to sound as good as a pro band. But people will be like, I'm fucking into it.
Have you seen like the wars the shredders have online? Where like there are a lot of people doing sweeps and all this fancy technique and stuff like that. And then they try to do it live and they sound too perfect live. And so now you have guitar players saying he's faking that.
Sure.
He's not really playing that and stuff. And so now it's guys trying to prove that they really do play the part, and in some ways they're failing, and so it's like a back and forth responding to each other about. It's pretty interesting because
that's super interesting
because people are getting too into technique.
Yeah.
And to the point where it's really not feasible to pull that shit off.
Yeah, and
in
they're
a live
lip
show.
sync. Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying about the AI thing, right? Is like. You can't Yngwie every song all the time, or unless you're Yngwie.
But people are trying to do that shit now. And even Yngwie,
but that's also not popular.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's a group that's into that shit.
There's a reason speed rapping was never the most popular version of rap.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
It's like speed and technique,
or even trying to be like smart, like IQ.
Sure.
In the lyrics, nobody cares about
Nas
that.
has never been the most popular rapper.
No, but he's been like he's a lot of people's favorites, especially like influence wise.
He's like lyrically he's like the Rush of rap.
Yeah,
because he's intelligent, right? He's progressive.
People say they'll appreciate what he did and he inspires people, but
he inspired
he'll never be the most famous out of everybody.
Right. Sure. Rush is not Metallica. As great as Rush is not Metallica. Metallica's Metallica. And Metallica's inspired a lot too, don't get me wrong.
For sure, yeah.
But yeah, there's a difference between like the most talented or all that shit and the most popular. And I think that's going to be the very big difference, is the most popular is not going to be a thing anymore.
But can you imagine, too, though, with AI, though, let's say you're trying to learn an instrument and you're playing it, you could ask, hey, what did I do wrong? Like, well, how could I improve this or whatever? Like, I think it'll be a learning technique thing, for musicians.
Yeah. I think it's going to be an assistant and a tool, and I think it'll become a standard. But I think the more I think about this and the more I evolve this idea, I think you're going to have to prove what you did and did not use AI for. And I think that's going to be in the form of some sort of live stream.
And who knows?
In real time, right? So you'll be fucking around, and then you'll like I'm pretending as a guitar player, because every musician knows exactly what I'm talking about. You're fucking up, you're fucking around, you're warming up. And then you're like, oh, weird, I fucked up there, but that kind of sounded cool. And then you do it again and again and again, and you're like, ooh. And then you find another chord that kind of does the same thing. And now you got like 2 chords. And you're like, actually, I hear a third one in there. So okay, I found that third chord. Now I have a 3-chord progression. And then you start riffing on that. And then you build this thing. And then you go, okay, I got an idea. And in your head in that moment, you know, if you're a songwriter, you know. If you're not a songwriter, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you're a songwriter, you go, oh, that's a chorus. Ooh, that's a verse. Ooh, that's an intro. Ooh, that's an interlude.
Transition.
That's something we're going to solo over, whatever. And then in real time on your live stream in front of everybody, you'll put that into your AI and be like, give me something to build off of. Boom, boom, boom. And then you finish it out yourself when you go, no, I wrote all that. And yeah, I used AI, but like, I mean, everybody knows I didn't like write it with AI. Then you'll have credibility behind that. No. And that's what people will connect to. Because not using AI, I think you're going to put yourself behind the curve unless you're breaking ground, unless you're rewriting a genre of music.
Think about how many times you've started a song. I mean, there's been times where I've sat down and you can write a song in a day and it's like, oh, this is cool. And then there's songs that you're sitting there sitting on for years that never even get finished.
Yeah.
You know, and
I've got
it's like,
a few of them.
What if you could just go, I'm stuck on the song. Where could I take it? And it throws out some options. You don't have to listen to exactly what that thing's doing, but you could hear its example and be like, oh, it's just the same thing as having another guitar player in the room when he starts to play something, but it's not what he's playing, but it makes you think of another thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's those aha moments.
Yeah. No, try this instead.
I call those the aha moments. Yep.
So I think it's there, and I think it's just a tool.
Yeah. I think that'll help bridge the gap of people not willing to get in rehearsals anymore, because that's what happened in the digital age is, guys, once you could send files back and forth and people didn't want to rehearse in the same room as each other anymore because you didn't have to, we lost those aha moments when guys would just track everything by themselves and then send the track over to you and you would just write to what's there. You don't have the ability to go, oh, fuck, dude, no. I got a way better idea. Go change this thing, and then I'll do that. He's like, dude, fucking just record what's there, dude. Fuck off. AI, I think, will be able to, and especially when you can upload multi-track. You see what I'm saying? And go, okay, just delete the bass line, but keep it in a ghost track, and lay mine over the top of it, and then when you fuck up, go, okay, give us a new take starting at here with this new idea in the vein of, and then you lay that down, send that back and go, here's the A-B. Which one do you like? Oh, I like your version better. That's a great idea. And then you just reopen the session with your version and we just keep rolling the train. Dude, we're going to come up with some dope fucking music, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, the problem is that when people get purist about stuff, you know, I mean, I've had people scoff at like, "Oh, you use effects," you know, like.
Sure. I mean,
that's weird,
I have a minimalist guitar signal.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
but it's for execution reasons. It's practicality. It's not because it's not like a music snob thing. It's not a tone snob thing.
I own more pedals than any bass player should ever have, and I use a 0 live. But it's like
that's so funny.
But it's true though.
Well, now you use 0 of them live, but I'm sure in your original band you used them.
No, I've tried using them in the past, but I never really needed them for anything that we did.
And with recording, we just use plugins now.
I mean, I think one of the last times I ever used effects live were probably Asteria, maybe, or no, we sampled something I did on my with a bass effect, I think. But it might have been like even way back in the day when I first started, like Quest for Mayhem days.
That's a great point, dude, because the only time I've ever heard of a credible bass player using pedals for anything,
it's a fuzz
really,
or something,
is when, again, a friend of mine, he does hip-hop and EDM, so he'll use his bass pedals to create sounds to use within another genre of music. So he creates samples basically organically. That's the only and he gets weird pedals, wacky pedals, you know, and he'll use several of them together to like warp sounds. And then he takes that and then manipulates that to where you would never know he played that out of an actual bass guitar.
Oh, and think about
you know what I mean?
And even
it's pretty impressive, actually.
think about this too is even like when I'm trying to learn a cover song that doesn't have your typical instruments in it. Like, let's say you want to take a Post Malone song and turn it into like an acoustic cover or something. Well, I got to change our like more rap-based type part into something that can be played on a bass.
Right. Or a piano part, you take in that section.
Which is, if you're a musician, you should be able to do that anyway. You should be able to figure out something. But even then, some things are not very clear on those sub-frequencies that an AI would see as bright as day and be like, these are the notes. You know what I mean? This is what's happening. You know what I mean? So that would help you learn that kind of shit too. Like, how do I play this part?
Yeah, I wonder because for me, I have to see it. So can AI give me a proper visual demonstration of it?
Oh, you know what? It probably will at some point in time. We'll be able to create
that's what I'm saying,
a video.
Yeah.
Because I've actually...
Show me how to play this part.
I've actually taken pictures of, like, Benjamin Raye and sent him... Because he's got a tribute band to piano rock. So, like, Billy Joel and Elton John and stuff like that. So he'll do that. And he'll get dressed up for the part and stuff. Well, I took a picture of him, and I made him do a dance with a video of the AI. That was pretty neat. I mean, it looks real as fuck, dude. It looks like he really danced. It's crazy.
It's going to get weird, too, because people are going to start doing that to promo their bands. They're going to take their performance, church it up with AI, and it's gonna get weird, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
What time is it? Oh, we should wrap this up.
Yeah, we can.
You got to get driving home, dude. You got a long drive.
Oh, I don't even know if it's supposed to be storming now.
Yeah, I was gonna say the weather's. Well, it's been raining.
It's been raining, yeah, but it's supposed to be a snowstorm.
Yeah, it's supposed to flip here pretty soon, so we should wrap this up, dude. So, what gigs do you got coming up with Benjamin Raye so people can come check you out?
Oh, I don't even know. Shit.
Plug your dates, bitch.
You'll just have to look it up. Go to benjaminraye.com.
And that's the only thing you're doing right now, huh?
DJing, and I have two other jobs on top of that. So DJing? I'm busy all the time.
When you say you're DJing, are you chicken, or are
no? Fuck that. I'm not.
Wedding DJ.
I'm not trying to turn that into like I'm playing it like an instrument. I'm not trying to do any of that. I'm just trying to make money.
No, but if people want to hire you to play songs at their wedding,
yeah.
So what do you charge for that? Like, what's your hourly rate or whatever? How do you package that out?
It depends. For me,
my little brother's getting married, so maybe
for me it's mostly distance. So if I got to drive super far, then that's when I start hiking prices. But I'm super cheap. And you'll have to come to me privately for a quote.
You don't have an hourly rate
no.
plus travel. You should just figure that out. Like hourly rate plus mileage, or hourly rate plus hours traveled, or something like that.
Well, the problem with a lot of these DJs,
and depending on what you're
looking
for,
DJs show up last second and they have a fold-out table and a cloth they throw over the top of it, and then they just play from like a laptop or something. You know what I mean? And they charge a shit ton of money, but I actually have like a full setup, and I'm there from beginning to end. So I could charge more, but I still try to be very affordable. Still, I'd rather be busy.
I just think for the sake of transparency and the ease of booking, you should just have like an hourly rate plus travel, whether that's mileage or whatever, and then you should also have like a package, right? Do you want because I can do bare bones, but you still got to pay for the travel. So for that price, you can also do this. You could do this, and then just have pictures of each setup. So what do you want?
I definitely could do that.
I'll help you do it, dude.
But part of what I also want to do is don't want to constrain my own self into pricing myself out of work. So let's say, for instance,
yeah, but you got to have a minimum profitable range where it's not worth doing it, and this is your baseline price.
Yes and no.
And then you can customize things to make extra money.
I yes and no. To me, it's okay. Let's say I don't have any band gigs for 2 weeks. It's hard to get a last minute gig if I'm not, because with the wedding stuff and all that stuff, I'm usually booked out months in advance, and that can keep me busy. And because I charge a kind of a low rate, I get a lot more gigs than somebody else is pricing themselves out of a job. But I also want the flexibility to be Well, I ain't got nothing else. I'll see somebody post something. Hey, we need a DJ at this bar, like I just did the other night. This is, my budget or whatever. Well, I could sit home. And do nothing, or I could go make X amount of money, which might be lower than my normal service fees.
But it's still profitable.
It's still me making more than I would have if I was playing in a band that night or sitting at home. So, like, I might do, especially when you need money. It's like I don't necessarily want to fix a price and stick by it.
So here's what you should do then. You should have your base price, and then be like, but I do discounts, for last,
Well. Sometimes last minute's the perfect time to raise.
I was just gonna say
too,
maybe not last minute, but you could say like I do discounts if I have nothing else going on, but it's still worth doing. I do discounts for friends and family, for friends of friends. You figure out a way to build that into that idea. But here's my base price. It's not a final price. Like if I think what you have is really cool,
I won't.
And I want to be a part of it, I'll still do it.
I won't let anybody haggle me, especially like with weddings and stuff. Like if we're booking 8 months, 10 or 12 months out in advance, I'm not going to haggle price with you because somebody else is going to come along, and I'll probably have a gig that day anyway. So it doesn't matter. Like there's no point.
This is my rate.
There's no point in haggling. But when it comes to like the last minute things, where I ain't got nothing else going on, then I want to be able to do that too. Yeah. And I don't want somebody to not use me because they see my prices somewhere, and be like, oh, I don't want to use you because you can't afford you, or something. But most people can afford me, I think.
All right, well, let's wrap this up, dude. Jamal, I love you, buddy. This is my favorite podcast that we've done so far.
Oh, really? It went pretty smooth, I think.
How's your podcast coming? You going to start that soon?
Fuck no. I work 4 jobs right now, and I'm not kidding you. Do handyman shit now, too, for a building that's got, like, 4 apartments, a restaurant, and another 2 businesses in it. So, and they call me all the time.
I'll tell you what, we'll just keep doing these podcasts with you and I, but we should name them. Like Joe Rogan has the Protect Our Parks and Sober October and all that stupid shit. We should come up with the name of ours so it's like its own series that people can follow.
That's true.
Because then we'll just
I don't
keep
know
having
if I want that, though, either.
Oh, you definitely want it, bitch. No, because we can do it like 3 times a year, 4 times a year, like every several months, and we can make it its own thing. And if you want, we can even bring another guy or 2 on. We'll make it a regular deal.
I want to get a guy in here that will freaking actually debate one of these days.
So we should try to get like a version of what I was doing for the draft parties when I was doing those. I wanted to get a guy, a Packers fan, a Vikings fan, a Lions fan, a Bears fan. We should try to get somebody on like that. You know what I mean? And maybe I'll even switch seats and sit in the middle, right? Because I don't think we can truly do 5 mics. Maybe we could figure out a way to do a 5th
the
mic.
closest thing we had to the debate is when you had what was
Tempest.
Yeah, and
but
she was way out there.
The problem is a lot of those people on that side of the aisle specifically, they keep always defaulting to this. Can't we all just be a good person? And it's like, yeah, totally. But we have different definitions of what a good person is. And so yes, we can all agree to start there. But then it never manifests past that.
Yep.
Because they always basically try to distill everything down to this idea that, like, I'm just trying to be a good person.